devastating loss to his family and friends and to the sporting world at large. He was set to take over the mantle of Eliud Kipchoge in setting the world record, the first man under 2:01. He would have been the first man under 2 hours. Just a tremendous loss for us all. Over the next decade, he would be the dominant figure.
Carrie?
We loved to get to know him too last year. We had so much fun, and you could see the athletes. Just it's heavy right now. A lot of athletes running for him. We'll miss him.
Yeah, Amanda, what are your thoughts?
A huge loss personally and professionally from someone who was likely to rewrite the history books and change the future of marathon running.
No doubt about it. And he is honored as well on the bibs. There is a marker to honor his legacy as well. All right, going to switch gears now and get a look at what the thoughts are on the women's side. Ruth Chepngetich is always in the mix, isn't she?
Yeah, well, second last year, won here twice before that. She's number 4 all time. I mean, she hasn't had quite the spring that we normally see her coming into this race, but maybe that's okay, the hunger and the drive. But I think she's going to have some competition. So Tume Kebede, she's a woman that did not have the race she wanted here last year. She was 15th here, but she is the world lead right now. She has the world's fastest time, and she's talking about that world record today. So we're going to have to see it. Yes. Joycelyn Jepkosgei is another athlete that I'm talking about right now. She is someone that really is okay with not having the attention, but her training partner, Betsy Sena, is in the race as well, and they are so excited to go out here and run fast.
All right, the American women are actually looking pretty good, speaking of them. They're strong in this race, including in the pack, Keira D'Amato, who was on the D'Amoto last year. For us, she's running this year, and her coach, her brand new coach, is Ed Eyestone. How's she looking?
Well, Keira, we talked, and she decided in late springtime she needed to sample altitude a little bit. So she's been out of Utah up at Park City. She's been such a delight to work with, a real workhorse. We're really looking forward to a good run from her. If she can run close to that personal best, then the American record will be in sight.
All right, and who else are you looking at, Carrie?
Well, as mentioned, Betsy Sena, fastest time for the Americans this year, but also Emma Bates and Sarah Hall. Emma Bates was second here in 2022, and also Sarah Hall was third here that year. So those two coming back after being second and third here already, they want to come back and run fast as well.
That makes you kind of hungry, doesn't it?
It does, and I love that the Americans are excited about going after and racing really fast times.
I love it too. Well, the elite field is obviously quite strong. We could see some breakout stars this year, which would be kind of fun. And then for the everyday runner, no matter what the reason or what the goal, it's time to get started. Let's get right to the start line for the running of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. What are you feeling, Ed, as you start to just kick right off that start line? Where's your head in this moment?
I'm feeling like a coach right now because I just started my stopwatch. So if the official timing goes down, I have my stopwatch here. But as an athlete, you are just so excited for that gun to finally sound. You're trying to go over your race plan, and then you should be feeling good in this first mile, right? And the problem sometimes is just going out too fast, so you're trying to hold yourself back. And then you always should have kind of a grateful heart, grateful for all those positive enablers who have made the sacrifices for you to be there and to run at your very best.
We're taking a look right now, too, at the Pacers. Tell me a little bit about what the Pacers mean to these runners, why they're important, why they're there.
Well, so many of the Pacers have that certain pace that they're going out to run. The athletes can kind of have a sense of relief knowing that they're going to take charge for the first initial, well, actually, it's about 30K is where they're going to go through. So they can just kind of breathe and let them do their job. All of the athletes know the different paces, and they also, some of them have their own personal pacers that they've been training with.
Oh, okay, now let's take a look at the wheelchair. Look, Marcel Hoog looks like he's right in front. We always know him from his shiny silver helmet. That's why they call him the Silver Bullet. What came first, the name or the helmet?
I think the helmet. So I've been racing for a long time, almost as long as Marcel Hoog has, and as long as I have known him, he has had his silver helmet. So I think the helmet came first, and then the name followed.
All right, is that Daniel Romanchuk next to him?
That's what I was going to say, right there up with him. I talked to Daniel and tried to get a little bit from him about his race strategy and his plan, but he always holds holds his cards really close, and he never wants to tell me too much, but he said he expected Marcel to go out hard, and he was just going to do his best to hang in there and react to him. I think he's got a little bit of confidence after beating Marcel on the track. He knows that he's got the speed. He knows that he can hang in there. You see him looking over his shoulder, checking to make sure Marcel is still back there behind him. But they look comfortable. They've got a little bit of a gap. They're checking right now to see if anyone is close to closing that. But otherwise, they're just going to hang on to this pace, and we'll see later on if they start playing with speed a little bit.
Now, I know that Daniel just got married recently, too. How's that going to factor into his performance, do you guys think? I don't know. I mean, I don't know him well.
I just think he is so happy.
He does seem very happy.
To do all the things.
He is all business. He told me his wife, Hannah, she's a teacher, but she actually got to come to Paris and watch him race.
Awesome.
They haven't had time for a honeymoon yet because he got married and went straight to the Paralympic Games. So he said in December they are spending some time in Tennessee.
Nice.
They're going to have a little post-marathon season vacation. He's really looking forward to that break, like so many of the athletes are after a really long season.
Oh, yeah, they have had a long season, and some of them just competed recently in Berlin, didn't they?
That's true. And Catherine de Bruyne, who we see now, just won the Berlin Marathon. She came out of Paris with a gold medal, won Berlin, and before this race, Susanna Scaroni told me that she and Catherine de Bruyne had talked about going off hard at the start and trying to break away. Early on, Susanna had started to pull away, but it looks like Catherine de Bruyne is now out on her own with no one else in sight.
She is such a beast, man, isn't she?
This is what we have been seeing from her race after race. She has a speed, she knows what she is capable of, and she is not afraid to start out hard and make people hurt early on.
Ooh.
She builds that gap, and she can hang on to a high percentage of her max speed for a long, long time. And so far, no one's been able to close that.
Yeah, she's got a tactic that seems to be working. All right, let's check in with the men's elite runners. We're looking at the pacers right there. Do you guys have any what are you seeing about form? You got any thoughts, Coach Ed?
Well, it's kind of interesting because we've got the two rabbits or pace setters in the white singlets, and then I believe that's John Career, the two-time LA Marathon champ, is just tucked in right behind him. And then we Japanese runner, I believe that might be Tatsuya Muiyama from Japan, who's a 2:07 marathon runner. So right now, I would say that they're running probably sub-maximal. The fact that the Japanese runner, who's a 2:07 guy, is hanging with the guys that are 2:02, 2:03 guys. But again, in the first miles, you want to feel very, very comfortable, and they're looking very good right now. And all the main players are in place.
Okay. We'll be watching. This is just the beginning. We don't see all the tactics just yet, but there is such amazing strategy, right, Carrie, when it comes to the marathon?
Oh my goodness. Be careful early on, stay patient, think about your strategy, and have some fun.
All right, let's take a look at our drone shot if we can, because we always love to see the perspective from the sky. And our drone footage is sponsored by Abbott, Life to the Fullest. Don't go anywhere. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon continues right after this.
2021, I ran. And then the last 2 years, I've been part of the NBC broadcast team on the lead female vehicle. So I was Kira D'Amato on D'Moto. And it's a ride. Like, it was a bucket list thing for me to be in a sidecar. So I feel like I've checked that off, and I'm hoping to be back eventually, but have some unfinished business. Yeah, my Coach Ed Eyestone, is on the broadcast. So he'll have, I'm sure he'll have some hot takes for you.
Oh, yeah, we're expecting some hot takes throughout the women's race as we watch Kira D'Amato do
I can
her
be
best.
completely unbiased.
Of course.
But she is a wonderful person, and she's trained very hard for this, and it'll be fun. She's approaching 40. She'll be 40 in a couple weeks here. So the fact that feels like she's still primed to run a personal best, I think, is a great tribute to the work ethic that she has.
She calls you Easy E. Are you easy on her?
Easy E? Yeah, I don't know how I picked up that nickname, but it's I embrace it. Maybe it's because of my rapping ability.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I'm impressed that you know that Eazy-E was a rapper. All right. Well, the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon is underway as the professional field clearly has left Grant Park. They are now, I believe, on State Street. That looks like it might be State Street. Let's check in with Galen Rupp, who is following the men's professional field. Galen.
Yeah, it's been a great start. The Pacers got out quick, but it seems like the lead group is really settling in well. John Carrere got right behind the Pacers from the start. He looks very comfortable and very definitive. He was real decisive getting off the line and getting right behind them to sit behind, let them block the win. Kipruto and Abeno have really looked comfortable to me. Their mouths are barely open. They're breathing through their nose a lot. I think that they look super comfortable in the pack right now, just biding their time and really conserving a lot of energy early on, which is what you want to do in a marathon.
Sounds great, which is actually consistent. Right now, the ones you were watching, Ed, the ones Galen is watching are where you would expect them to be, I imagine.
Yeah, well, and Abeno, the fact that this is his debut, obviously you don't want to make any mistakes, so you're just happy to ride along in that pack. And being an accomplished 5K and half marathon runner, this pace is going to feel comfortable for him. And what you can do is make a mistake because the pace does feel comfortable and you go out too hard. So the fact that Abeno's just riding in there, I think that's a great tactic. He's talked to, he probably has a good coach telling him to just be conservative, and then finish strong. Use that 5K speed at the end of the race.
All right, now let's check in with Dina Castor, who is in front of the professional women's field. Dina.
Oh my God, if this was ever a hot race, I can literally wave to Galen on the men's lead vehicle. We are that close. The men just made the turn. The lead women are just about ready. Ruth Chepngetich came here to make a statement. She does it every time. It is classic Ruth Chepngetich. Just flawless in her stride. Off of her shoulder is Joycelyn Jepkosgei, about 10 meters back, and 10 meters beyond her is Situme Kebede of Ethiopia. These women came here and they mean business. It is congested, it is loud, and my gosh, they are making a statement very early on in this race.
Dina, I love your energy. Keep it up. All right, let's check in with the women's wheelchair. Apparently, Catherine DeBrunner has really extended the gap here. Amanda.
We have seen this so many times from Catherine DeBrunner. This is her move. This is her bread and butter. It's what she does. She goes out hard and she builds that gap. I was talking to Susanna Scaroni, and she told me she was hoping that she could stick with her, but she really thought that this might be a race for second place because Catherine DeBrunner has just been so strong. And this is incredible because she raced every distance in Paris from the 100-meter through the marathon and won a medal in every single one. So if you're talking about versatility and just like the peak level of strength and fitness, there is no one who can touch Catherine DeBrunner right now.
Well, she did say she was a little tired too, but she doesn't look it.
She doesn't look tired at all. 5 gold medals, silver in the 100-meter, and this is the same move that she pulled in Paris. She went out hard from the start, and then no one could touch her.
All right, let's worry about the 10K with the men's race. Let's take a look. What do we see here? Oh, they're still together.
There have been a lot of lead changes, and so the last time we went off, Tomoki Suzuki actually pulled ahead and dropped Daniel Romanchuk and Marcel Hug. They've been hit. Here he comes right now up the outside. That's Tomoki Suzuki, the Paris silver medalist. Daniel Romanchuk in the red behind him, then Marcel Hug, and then in the back with the white helmet, that's the U.S.'s Aaron Pike.
All right, the people you talked about. All right, as we take a look at our beautiful city of Chicago from the drone footage brought to you by Abbott, life to the fullest. We're going to take you to a break, but don't go anywhere. We've got more of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon when we come back.
Hi, I'm Deanne Ganzer from Lamont, Illinois, and I'm running the Chicago Marathon this year with my son Owen Ganzer and some other members from our Lamont Run Club called YOLO. I like pushing myself to my limits to see what I still can do at 60 years old. I would love to run 3 hours and 40 minutes. My Boston qualifying time is 3 hours and 50 minutes.
He's 6 years old, I'm 24 years old. Being that huge of an age gap and being able to train for something like this to this extent, it's unbelievable. I get to really spend a lot of time with my dad, and seeing him enjoy it as much as I do, it's a great feeling.
We got Dennis and Sandy, Dave, Jenny. Our running club here in Lamont is called YOLO. It stands for Young Old Lamonters Outdoors. We push ourselves to do things that maybe we wouldn't do if we were by ourselves. So that's why it's very important that we have this community and that it's grown and it continues to grow. To hopefully continue for generations is what I would love to have happen. When I get to the finish line, and I assume he'll be waiting as close as he can for me, it is going to be extra special this year.
It's either I'm going to wait at the finish line or I'm going to get back out on the course and run in with him. If you ask anyone in this group, he is the guy that always goes back out on one of our triathlons or 5Ks, and he'll find some people in our group or the last person in our group, and he will always run them in. I would love to go back out and find him on the course.
Yeah, the Chicago crowds are really amazing. They give us so much energy and good vibes.
I love all the silly signs. Like if people have, funny signs, like don't ever trust a fart,
Definitely towards the end, those last couple miles, you're just like feeding off the crowd. I like to visualize like as I'm passing people and they're yelling, they're like the wind from their voices is like pushing me forward, and I'm just using that energy.
Hi everybody, welcome back. Stefan Holt here at the finish line, waiting for the racers to make their way here. We're watching some of the wheelchair racers are now on Inner Lakeshore Drive, making their way up past Belmont Harbor, about to make that turn back south to get closer here to the finish line. As we see the athletes making their way to the finish line, there's an extra wrinkle that's added to this year's wheelchair competition we want to tell you about. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon is one of 6 Abbott World Marathon Majors, and today's race within the race is part of the Majors bonus points competition. Here's how it works. For the wheelchair racers, there will be a 400-meter point-to-point sprint, and that's going to be at the end of the race, starting at the 40K mark. That's right around Michigan Avenue and Cermak, close to McCormick Place. They're going to race all the way to here where you're looking right now. There's Mount Roosevelt as they come over the Metro tracks there. 8 points will be awarded to the fastest man and woman to complete that section, regardless of their place in the pack at the time. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon is also offering a prize purse for the top 5 athletes in the sprint, with first place finishers getting $1,500. Now, athletes can win the 8 bonus points at a maximum of 3 races during this series of majors. So a lot of excitement as we watch this race, waiting for the finishers to make their way here. We'll send it now to Alex Maragos, a few blocks north. Alex?
Hey, Stefan, one thing that's great about the start line at a marathon is everyone comes here with their own personal story, their own journey, why they are running today. And here we have 5 young women from the Chicago area who are running for a very special cause. They're here to honor their friend, Eileen Sheehan, who died in a tragic skiing accident in January. Now, all of these young ladies grew up with Eileen, and they're here running in her honor today. First, I'm going to start with the person on my left here, Lily, who has known Eileen for a very long time. First of all, tell me about who Eileen was and why you're honoring her today.
First of all, very lucky enough to know Eileen. She was an amazing friend. I grew up with her. Just beautiful inside and out. She was just a true friend to everyone, and one of like the most kind people I've ever met, and everyone ever since the accident has just been saying the same thing through and through, that she was just such an inspiration to everyone. And they kind of started this whole Live Like Eileen team and idea just to kind of spread the way that she lived, just spreading joy and lightness to everyone and saying yes to everything, not sweating the small things, and just trying to enjoy life as much as possible.
And I see the pin that you've got on
Yes.
as well, which is great. Riley, you could have done anything to honor Eileen, yet I know you'll continue for the rest of your life. Why'd you choose a marathon?
Eileen is the only person that could inspire us to run a marathon. She was going to sign up and run this year. She's been a runner for a few years, has ran the Michigan half before, and so we chose to do it in her honor since she can.
And it's the first marathon for 4 out of the 5 in this group. What is your goal today with being your first marathon, and what are you thinking when you get out on the course?
My goal is just to finish. I'm so honored to be running for Eileen, and we just want to have fun.
Well, I know you guys are going to have fun. You're going to have a wonderful time, and I know you'll be thinking of Eileen and honoring her in a wonderful way. And I know you're going to meet up with Eileen's family later on today. So just a wonderful thing that you guys are all doing. Good luck out there, and you've got a great day here. So just enjoy the course as much as you can. Good luck to you all. All right, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. It's so inspirational to hear the different reasons people are running, and God bless those ladies for remembering their friend in this way. When she wanted to run a marathon, they're out there on the course for her. That's going to be beautiful. We're checking in now with the professional men. What are you seeing, Ed? And I know you guys we have 4 monitors here, so even when something else is on the air with you guys, they can watch the runners and keep up with the race. So what are you guys seeing so far?
Well, the men came through at 14:43 for 5K, which is about 2:04 marathon pace. I like the fact that we've got Kyohei Hosoya from Japan. He's a 2:06 guy, and he's feeling very comfortable. He's right up there. He's the guy in the red. He's got a 1:01 half marathon, so very solid credentials, but certainly running and surrounded by men who have run 2 to 3 minutes faster than him. But I like the fact that he's in the fight. They're running at I think a relatively conservative pace since they were considering going out in 61:30 pace per half, which would be more like 2:03. So they're about 2:04. Some of that might be just trying to hold back a little bit or battle the headwind that they're going against. But again, all the main players are right there together. But the guy in red is a Japanese runner, and they came through the 4th mile at 4:47. So again, right about 2:04 pace, which I think is probably for this talent level and for the number of guys that they have, and the fact that they are bucking this headwind for the first 8 miles. That's a good pace.
All right, let's check in on the women's professional pack. And actually, it's not much of a pack. Isn't it Ruth basically by herself?
Yep, she's out. Let's talk about what she did in the first 5K. She went through in 15 flats. That's under 2:07 pace. So that means that she is flying right now. She's got her male pacers right there. Right behind her is Satume Kabete and Joycelyn Japaskay, only about 10 seconds back. So they are well under world record pace. The women went through mile 4 in 4:54 pace. That is under that 4:55 pace is what the world record pace is. So just flying, Marion.
Ruth, I feel like she has something to prove to herself, and she really wants to get out there and make it happen. I have a feeling about her, right?
Every year she loves to come here and she gets out super hard. She puts her heart on the line. You know, winning here twice, getting second, she's got quite the record here.
She really does. She really does. We can't really discount that. She has an amazing record.
We do.
Two-time champion.
We do know a little bit about the Americans as well. Susanna Sullivan is the lead American. She went through the 5K in 16:27, so she's coming up to 4 miles now. But she's on 2:19 pace, so 2:18 is the American record. She's right there. Kira D'Amato and Betsy Sena in 2nd and 3rd.
All right, let's check in on the wheelchair races. I think we're going to start with the women's wheelchair. Catherine DeBrunner all by herself there.
All by herself. You know, I'm hesitant to say this because I don't think it could possibly be real, but I think Catherine DeBrunner has won every marathon she has ever entered.
Wow.
Started at this distance in 2022 and has won. She's a little bit more selective than some of the pro wheelchair racers that we see who do the entire World Marathon Major circuit every year. So she normally only does 2 or 3 races per year, but that means when she comes into a race, she is fit and she is ready to win, and she has a streak of first place finishes behind her name.
She is a monster. All right, we have an interesting lead going on with the men's wheelchair. This is not what I expected.
There have been so many lead changes in this race, and it makes it so much fun to watch. But I can say, as an athlete, it is not the race that you want to be in because it is nerve-wracking. But this is Tomoki Suzuki, the Paris Paralympic silver medalist, back up at the front. This is really similar to how he raced that Paralympic marathon, actually. Marcel Hug took off hard from the start, and for the majority of the race, Suzuki was in third by himself with no one around him, and he held on to his pace and just kept chipping away, and ended up catching up to second place. And if the race was a little bit longer, he may have been able to reel in Marcel Hug for first.
This is amazing to see a third name so tight in there with Roman Chuck and Marcel Hug, because we're so used to those two names being the ones we watch so closely.
It's so exciting to see, and Tomoki Suzuki doesn't race all of that often outside of Japan, but he is really strong. He's won the Tokyo Marathon 2 times, most recently this past March in 2024. So he definitely has the speed, he has the experience, but it's really exciting to see him out on the streets of Chicago with such a dominant performance right now.
Is this his debut? Chicago? Is this his Chicago debut? Is this first time in Chicago?
I believe that it is. It's definitely, if it's not, it's definitely his first time that he is in the lead pack in Chicago.
Sure, okay. Let's check in with the men's elite runners. Ed, what are you seeing? I know you've been spying on that box where we're watching the men.
Yeah, I think John Career, again, who is one of our men who have run 2:05, is right there in things, and he's wearing the yellow. He's been a constant force right up behind the pace setter, so he must be feeling good. He's a 2-time LA Marathon champion. He has done historically very well here at Chicago. He was 3rd here in 2022. He was 4th in 2023. He knows how to get the job done here in Chicago, so I think that gives you an air of confidence here in the early miles. They're continuing to click along right at 4:47, 4:47, 4:46 pace, which again is going to be in the 2:04 range. And again, for today with the wind and with the quality men's field, I think that's a really good time. Not near as hasty and fast as the women are going right now, though, relatively speaking.
All right. Love to be able to check in on the women's moto, if at all possible, and see how Ruth Chepngetich is looking. Looks like they're making their way through Lincoln Park. Can we get to Dina? Dina, can you tell us anything? I don't know if we have Dina. Let's see if we have Galen.
I hear you.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, the Chicago voices are coming out on the streets. 1.5 million people are taking over your voice, Miriam. We just passed the 5-mile mark. And I know you're asking about the lead women, but we are also with the leaders of Team USA up here. Zach Panning and CJ Albertson also projected to run 2:06. They are right next to me as Ruth Chepngetich continues to just set a blistering pace. Sudame Kebede is right off of her shoulders, but it's as if they're running 2 entirely different races, like they are just on a mission themselves, but there hasn't been any interaction between the two of them, which has been super interesting to see. They're just running their own races, and I think they're both hoping that as the miles wear on, that they're going to be the one to sustain this blistering pace. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Dina Castor. We'll get to Galen Rupp out there following the men's professional field in just a moment. Here's another look for you at some of the racers as they make their way down Columbus Drive. This is the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
personal experience with food insecurity. And the work that they do around the world providing nourishing meals, home-cooked meals to families is amazing. Most people think about the physical impact of growing up without food. The experience that I had was mental, physical, and emotional. You know, as a child, you should be worrying about, you know, growing and learning and having fun and experiencing the world. And food should not be a part of your everyday concern. I wanted to be a better person mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and running has become a big part of that. And running, I will tell you, for me, is somewhat of a forced meditation. I'm a very pragmatic person, and as I run, I try to solve problems, whether they're personal problems, work problems, or any other thing that I have going on. This will be my second marathon. I am looking forward to October the 14th, and it will be Medal Monday, and I will wear my medal because I would have finished the Chicago Marathon.
Deserve to wear that medal. Wear it all day long, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever you want to do. All right, let's check in on the professional men's pack here. What are you seeing, Ed?
Well, I'm also liking what Mr. Amos Kipruto from Kenya is doing. He's the third, essentially in third place, fifth if you count the Pacers in there. He's in the solid blue with the yellow highlights. He is the man who's Mr. Consistency. He always finds a way to get on the winner's peristyle and at World Marathon majors like London, Tokyo, Berlin. He's coming off of a 2:03.13 in Tokyo a couple years back, but I like the fact that he's also a fast half marathon runner, so he's looking very comfortable. And they're getting the water bottles right now. It's always fun to see him grab their water bottles. They picked it up just a notch. They ran 4:43 for their 6th mile, so picked it up just a notch, and that's probably more in the wavelength they should be at for run 4:43s, which again is going to bring it down probably closer to 2:03 pace.
All right, let's check in on Ruth Chepngetich. She's looking pretty good still, Carrie?
She is, but right behind her is Satume Kebede. So there is, like Dina said, a 2-woman race going on right now, 2 different races going on. But Ruth Chepngetich out very hard. She's right at 2:08 pace, right off the American men, which seems crazy, but that is typical for Ruth.
All right, sounds good. Let's check in with the second wave of runners as they approach the start line. So some of these runners are your everyday runners. They may run on the weekends. They have got day jobs typically. This is a group of folks that is just dedicated. For whatever reason they've chosen to run, they have made their way to the start line. Some of them are running for charity. Some of them, like those young women from the University of Michigan, are running for a friend and someone's memory. Some people are running because this is their personal goal. It's on their bucket list. Whatever their reason may be, they showed up today and they are making their way on this 26.2-mile journey all the way through the city of Chicago and hopefully out to the finish line. All right, we're going to check back in now with our own Alex Maragos, who just saw those folks take off. I'm always so inspired to watch the folks as they make their way, the everyday folks, as they make their way on this 26.2-mile run, Alex.
Marion, I've been seeing thousands of examples just like that, especially with Wave 2 starting. The excitement was through the roof. I'm here with Carmen Nacy, a Bank of America employee and Chicago native, who is running with incredible inspiration. Carmen, tell us your story and how you have undergone an amazing personal transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my health journey 10 years ago, having high blood pressure, borderline diabetes, and I decided to make a change, hire a personal trainer, and the rest is history. I lost 200 pounds, and here I am running my second marathon.
200 pounds. And you said that you've gotten into running because when the pandemic happened, you couldn't go to a gym, you couldn't do the things you're used to doing. What has running given you in your life as opposed to all the other physical accomplishments you've had to get to this point?
Yeah, running is just giving me a whole new sense of, you know, just health. Like, I never knew this would be possible considering where I started. So never knew that this is something I would ever be able to do.
There's the physical, which is obvious, but I'm sure the mental hurdles were incredible. To people out there who think, I can't do it, I can't start, I don't know where to go, I don't know who to talk to. How do they overcome that? How did you overcome that?
just consistency is key. Just never tell yourself that you can't do anything, because anything is possible. Like I said, I never knew that I'd be able to do this, and here I am. So in the beginning, it's definitely going to be hard, but just keep going at it, and you'll achieve your goals. It's hard work and dedication is key.
You said you had some family and friends who are going to watch you on the course today, your second Chicago Marathon. How important is it to have a group of people, the people who are telling you can do it, the supporters along the way?
Very important. It gives you that extra jolt of energy that you need to push through and just keep on going through the entire course.
And you've got a goal, a big goal today. What is that, really quick?
So I am looking to beat last year's time by at least an hour.
That's a big goal, Carmen. We think you could do it. Good luck. Congrats on what you've accomplished, and good luck out on the course today. Thank you, Carmen. Marion, back to you.
I'm not betting against Carmen, that's for sure. Losing 200 pounds. I think he's going to take that hour off his time. Very excited to hear how he does. All right, now let's check in with the men's wheelchair racers. I think they're just past the halfway point or getting close to it, Amanda?
Just about at halfway, and we've had another lead change. This is Marcel Hoog and Daniel Romanchuk back up in the front. That's Tomoki Suzuki just a little bit behind them. And so far, this has looked a lot like a game of cat and mouse. Every time Marcel and Daniel got close to Tomoki, he would surge again and pull ahead. But there's two things that Marcel really likes to do in races. He likes to go out hard from the start, and he likes to negative split. So sometimes we'll see Marcel Hoog run the first half of the race a little bit more conservatively, and then when he hits that halfway point, he really turns it on. And you can see him now starting to pull away, starting to pull ahead of Daniel Romanchuk a little bit. And you can tell how fast he's moving by his arm speed and his cadence there. His hand speed is really picking up. He's not taking much time off the wheels, but he is on and he is consistent, looking behind him to see who's there. And now he's got a break, but we could see the breakaway happening.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's talk about Catherine DeBrunner. She's apparently got a 2-minute lead right now.
Catherine DeBrunner is so far ahead, and she just looks really, really comfortable. If you compare stroke cadence and how Marcel is pushing versus Catherine right now, she has really settled in to her pace. You can see that she's taking a little bit of a pause on the back end of her stroke. When wheelchair racers are accelerating, when they're pushing really hard, you'll see a lot of separation between their hands and the top of the ring, so they got a lot of lift off the back of it. If their stroke is shorter, if it's lower like this, and there's a pause in between, you can tell that she is in a pace and she's just kind of cruising. She's got a time she wants to hit, she's got a pace she wants to be on, and that's what she is working on now.
I love your expertise and your having been there and all these little nuggets and minutiae. It's so interesting. All right, well, now we're going to check in with the men's professional field, and apparently, excuse me, they're on a decent pace here, Ed?
Yeah, they are continuing to roll along at about 2:04 pace. One of our leaders is DeWitt Wolde. He's been wearing a white top with the blue. He's been consistently right in there. It's interesting because he was only 17th at Chicago in 2023. They have ratcheted down the pace a little bit, 4:41 for that 7th mile. And again, as they continue to do that, they will then go from 2:04 pace down to 2:03. I've been told that the Americans are back running right about a world championship qualifying time of about 2:06:30. They're headed by Zach Panning, CJ Albertson, and Brian Schrader are in a group together and looking good. It looks to me like they're trying to hit that 2:06:30, which is the world championship qualifying mark.
All right. Anything you want to add real quick, Carrie?
I just love that these athletes are working together. We talked to the American men before, and they want to start running that sub 2:07 mark. They have to in order to run at that international stage, and they're going for it together. It's really exciting.
It is exciting to see. All right, let's check in now with Stephen Holt. He's at the finish line with a special guest.
A special guest indeed, Marion. I'm here with Coach Chris Bennett, Nike Global Run head coach, joining us here to talk about some of the training and the technique of getting ready for a race like this. Some of those runners that have just left in the 8 o'clock and now the 8:30 time in the corrals there, some of them, this is their first marathon.
Sure.
I know there's butterflies, there's some jitters. What advice would you give them?
Well, I think the important thing is to not even so much control your emotions. I think it's to work with them as best as you can, because you got to remember the marathon, race day is epic. But these athletes just went through 14, 16, 18 weeks of work. I mean, that's the hardest part of the marathon, is getting to the starting line. So my advice usually is to embrace your time on the starting line. It is extraordinary what you've done just to get here. We can worry about the finish line once you've crossed that starting line, but I think some of it is letting those emotions come, because what you've done already before you even start the race is incredible. So it's embracing the moment really more than anything else. And then what you find is those nerves turn into excitement.
Sure, so you start passing the 1.7 million people along the course,
Absolutely.
cheering and chanting. All right, let's pause for a moment, because I'm sure some people are hearing your voice and saying, I know this guy from somewhere. Anyone who uses the Nike Run app has heard your voice before.
Sure, and it's a really amazing thing for me to come to an event like this and actually get to tell people in person how proud I am of them for getting here. So to me, Marathon Weekend in a city like Chicago is one of my favorite weekends of the year, and I tell the athletes that I will always be getting more out of this than they are, because what they give back, and which is why you mentioned the 1.7 million people lining the road, they're cheering on strangers because they're inspired by what they've done. I mean, and if you actually just think about it, people come out for 4 or 5 hours to cheer on people they don't know. It's a really beautiful thing, but it also tells you just how amazing it is what these athletes on the course are trying to do.
Coach Bennett, it's good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We got an appointment to run tomorrow morning. You're going to be in my...
I'll meet you on the starting line.
I'll see you
Let's
there.
go.
Coach Bennett, thank you very much. Marion, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Stefan. We are looking at the men's professional field right now, trying to men's and the women's. Actually, we're going to take a look at Ruth Chepngetich, who is comfortably behind her own pacers. Those are her pacers, correct?
Those are her pacers, yes, and she is still hammering out 4:55 per mile. She's getting a little bit of distance on Tutume Kebede. You know, one of the things that we've seen with Ruth is she's attacked this course so hard. In the past, when she's won, she has gone out in very fast over the half marathon distance and then crawled her way home and still been able to win. So it's interesting that she's still doing this. Yes, she's chasing that time, but she knows the win is more important than anything. So this is her style. This is what she does. You know, she is so good over that half marathon distance. She's a 64:01 gal. So she's got the leg speed. She's got the grit. She's self-coached. She trains with men. So this is comfortable for her to not have women around her. She doesn't like probably hearing, and you know, men and women sound different when they're breathing at times. So she might not look, although she did just take a look back. So she's wondering what's going on in the race, but definitely hanging on to her paces.
All right, let's take a look at the men's pack. We see, who is that? Is that Career toward the front?
Yeah, that's in the yellow is John Career. He's been there the entire way, just shaking out his arms, making sure he stays loose. But it's been DeWitt Wolde from Ethiopia, who's been the guy that's kind of been content to ride right up behind in the slipstream of those pacers up front.
All right, let's check in with Galen. We were able to connect with Galen. Galen, what are you seeing from the runners right there at the front?
Yeah, one thing that I thought was interesting was Daniel Ebenyo missed his first bottle at the first water station, and he ended up stopping, going back and grabbing it. That is the only sign of distress I've seen on his face. Once he caught back up, he is back looking cool as a cucumber. Amos Kipruto, I think, is just running an unbelievable race right now. He is locked in, and I really like where he's sitting in the middle of the pack. He is being shielded from the wind better than anybody. Looks so relaxed, and John Career looks like he's just getting back on his shoulder too. But everybody looks pretty comfortable here, I would say, all the main players.
All right, it's amazing that they are looking comfortable. What does that tell you, Ed?
Well, when you hear that Daniel Ebenyo missed a bottle, probably not a surprise. This is his first marathon. It is it's kind of a learning process, right? They're grabbing those bottles on the run. They're running at 4:40 pace, and it's tough to get that bottle off the table. The fact that he went and got it, I think he realizes that the need to have the fluids, and the fact that he was able to catch back up and ensconce himself very comfortably in that pack is a good sign for his day.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon right after this.
record in 2022, and it was broken here in 2022 by Emily Sisson. It's about 30 seconds faster than my PR. So if I run about a second faster per mile, I'll be knocking on the door of it. I think there's a handful of American women that could potentially run that time, and I think there's a handful of women that may be going after it.
I wouldn't say the record is something I'm chasing, but it's definitely something that I have my sights on.
I really want to get together with the group and see what we can do together as a team.
If the American record gets broken, it will happen in Chicago. This is a place.
And we're back. Welcome, everybody. I'm Stephen Holt here at the finish line as we watch these racers make their way through the city of Chicago. The men's elite team now coming down the north side, down Broadway. The men's elite wheelchair racers on the west side, as well as the women's elite wheelchair racers as they get closer and closer to the finish line here on Columbus Drive between Roosevelt and Balboa. Now, we talk about the Bank of America Chicago Marathon as being one of the premier races of the Abbott World Series, but it's also part of the Chicago Distance Series, the Bank of America Chicago Distance Series. I want to show you this medal, and this goes to the people that complete all 3 races in that distance series. That is the Chicago Marathon, the Chicago 13.1, and the Shamrock Shuffle, 3 of some of the greatest races here in the city of Chicago. Now, the 3 races span the entire outdoor running season and celebrate, of course, all of Chicago's vibrant neighborhoods and the diverse nature of our local and global running communities. Now, anyone who finishes all 3 of the 24 events, they'll receive this very unique medal. What's cool about it, it's the view looking south from Lincoln Park. You can see the skyline in the distance. There's Navy Pier. There's Cannon Drive, where the racers, some of them are coming up right now. And it's not just this cool medal. You also get a guaranteed entry into the 2025 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. So something to look forward to for a lot of these racers out here today. Marion, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate it, Stefan. Our analysts are getting all their detailed information. We actually have a couple of people here in the room. We also that are working to give the split times so we can keep track of where everybody is. All right, now we want to check in with women's wheelchair. Amanda, she's still in the lead.
She is still in the lead. Catherine DeBruner
is
just past the half at 47.19. So something people are usually really surprised to learn is how much faster wheelchair racers are than runners. Wheels are more efficient than feet are, and it's not surprising to see women race in the 1:30s over 26 miles, which is an average of close to 17 miles an hour, a little bit faster than that actually. But Catherine DeBruner's got a 2-minute lead on the chase pack, which is her Swiss teammate Manuela Schär and well-known in Chicago Tatiana McFadden.
All right, let's check in now, Amanda, with the men's wheelchair and see how they're looking, if there's been any more lead changes.
It is still the same 3 that we have been seeing this whole race so far. That's Marcel Hug in the front with the silver helmet, US's Daniel Romanchuk in red right behind him, and then Tomoki Suzuki in the back. These 3 are all on pace to break the course record, which is pretty impressive. Marcel Hug did it in 2022. Did it in 2023. They might do it again this year. At 25K, they are at 50 minutes, 25 seconds.
All right. It's so fascinating. There they go. Now Daniel's in the lead again. And then here comes Suzuki up the side.
That drafting effect makes a huge, huge difference. And if you can tuck up in behind someone, like Marcel Hug is doing behind Daniel Romanchuk right now, you can actually save 20 to 30% of your energy by getting sucked along inside that draft line. We've seen Tomoki Suzuki kind of hang outside of that draft a little bit. So he's working harder, but he tends to be the one that has been going up to the front and kind of pushing the pace.
Is it annoying as an athlete to have someone, draft or, break the draft somebody else, and even if you're trying to move away, does it irritate you?
So I always loved being in the draft line, and it does, because you kind of want everybody in tight. And if they're not in that draft line, if they're not tucked in, you're always really suspicious about what they're doing. You feel like they have a plan. And I feel like Tomoki Suzuki has a plan here. I think he's hanging out to the side so that he can be the first one to react if a surge goes, or so he can be the one to put that surge on and surprise everybody by pulling out around from the back before they have time to react.
We'll see if that's what happens. All right, let's check in now with the women's professional one-person field, it looks like at this moment.
Sure does.
Ruth Chepngetich is just with her pacers and a man off to the side that we can't see.
Yeah, she went through 15K in 45:32. That's 2:08:30 pace. Now, we have seen this world record come down time and time again in the last couple years. 2:11 is the world record right now by Asefa. last year we saw Sifan Hassan chase this woman down to run the second fastest time we've ever seen in 2:13. So this is the thing, like Ruth Chepngetich is such a go-getter and she's going for it. But we know that Stume Kebede is in second. Joycelyn Jepkosgei is 2 minutes back. I don't know, I've starred Joycelyn's name. I don't know, but I just feel like maybe she is the one that's running within herself and running very smart. I mean, she's still on world record pace.
Okay.
So let's keep an eye on what Joycelyn Jepkosgei is doing.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily, just because they're not together right now.
Yes.
We're still so early in the race.
So early, conserving energy, going out too hard can bite you in the end, right? So we know that Ruth is strong, but she has some very strong ladies behind her.
All right, it's always so fascinating, all the different tactics that come into play as it relates to marathon running. All right, let's check in with the men's elite again. And Ed, it looks like Career is still there. Walit is still there.
Yeah, that's actually Vincent Ngedic. Career is also in that pack. There's really about 10 men in that lead pack, but Wolde and Ngedic have been the two that have been right up there, right behind the Pacers. They're looking good. They came through 15K a while ago in 44:28, which again is about 2:04:28 pace. They're looking good. They just ran their 10th mile at 4:52. So, you know, back and forth. I think the wind is buffeting them a little bit, but they're still staying consistent at about 2:04:28. Now, Vincent Ngedic, who's there in the yellow, just wiping his brow there, he is also really one of our pre-race favorites. He's only run 2 marathons, and in them he got second at Berlin in 2:03. He was third at Tokyo in 2:04. Those both happened within the last year, so really, in terms of consistency and being a relatively newcomer, he's kind of a man to watch. So not a real surprise that Vincent Ngedic is there running side by side with DeWitt Wolde. But again, that pack, if they were to expand back, we really have 9 or 10 men in it right now. All of them are the guys that are the 2:05, 2:06 guys. Probably the biggest surprise up there right now would be Hosoya from Japan, who's a 2:06:30 guy, running with some guys that are a little bit faster than him. But hey, it's a good day out there, and who knows, maybe this is a day for a PR for him.
All right, now we're going to check in with the women's professional field of one at this moment, and Dina Castor, who's right in front of her. Dina.
Best seat in Chicago today to watch this show unfold. If you see in front of you Stume Kebede's pack of about 7 just attached themselves to Ruth Chepngetich. So now we might see them working together as one system. It's been very separate from here on out. It looked like that gap was increasing, but in the last 5K, you saw that pack slowly reel in Ruth Chepngetich. And now the game begins. Let's keep our eye on any dynamics if they come side by side to see if there's interaction between them. But in the history of distance running, it is always a Kenya-Ethiopia battle. And here again on the streets of Chicago, we're seeing that. Carrie Kavinkowski, the executive race director of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, said yesterday in the press conference, people come here to run fast. I like to say it's the Kelvin Kiptum effect, but it's been happening for years. And this is the duo to fight to the finish to see this world record go down. 2:08 projected finish right now is still smoking fast, 3 minutes under the current world record, almost 4 minutes. So they mean business today. There's still a lot of road ahead of them, but both women looking supremely good.
Dina, can you see any of the American runners earlier on? We know that they were right there with Ruth Chepngetich. Are you seeing any at this point?
Yeah, now the American men are further ahead. I think they're staying on that 2:06 projected finishing pace, while the women have slowed by a couple of minutes in their projected finish. But fast running all around. The weather out here is absolutely perfect for fast running. So whether we see world records, course records, American Masters records, we're going to see thousands of personal bests today.
All right, thank you, Dina. Now let's check in with Galen Rupp, who's following the men's professional field. Galen, what are you observing?
I still think that Ebenyo looks phenomenal. He looks so relaxed. You can tell how comfortable he is running in the pack from all his track experience, and he is doing an exceptional job of just hanging back and biding his time for a first-time marathoner. And also,
There's Chris Gorman on the back of the vehicle.
Also, Amos Kipruto, again, running a great race, staying super relaxed. He looks well within himself, and I think he's poised for a big finish. One thing I have seen is Walla Lang looks like he's been struggling a little bit. He's been wincing a lot, and he's run under 205. He's a 204.50 marathoner, but you can see it right now in his face. He will start to wince a little bit, and that usually could be a sign that he might be starting to break.
Thoughts on that, Ed?
Yeah, that's tough, and you know what? You have some very talented men. They're pushing the envelope in training, and sometimes the race starts rolling out, and you're only as good as your weakest link, and that may be what's going on with Lele right now. Nice in terms of Benyo getting his water bottle on the last one. Galen, did he look okay on this last one? Is getting a little more comfortable picking up the water bottle on the fly?
He looked better on the third stop. The second one, he was still a little shaky. He almost came to a dead stop getting it. But, you know, it's always a bit of chaos at the water stations. He definitely cut a few athletes off right at the last second. So he's still getting used to it, but I think he's finding his way as the race is going on.
Yeah, well, and the good thing is the race continues on. That pack is going to get thinned out. It's one thing to have to wade through 10 people to get your water bottle, and then as you get down to 4, 3, 2, 1, then it becomes a lot easier. But really talented men in that field right now. So many opportunities, and Benyo with that track speed. He's a 5-time Kenya national champ at 5,000 meters, and so the man can run well under 13 minutes for 5K. When you have that kind of speed, and then you're running only 4:45 miles, and it's a little more comfortable. They just told us, however, that the last men's mile was 4:36. Galen, could you feel the pickup of pace a little bit, and are things stretching out a little bit?
You could tell a few points it stretched out, but for the most part, everybody looks pretty comfortable. You know, that main group looks really calm. DeWitt Wolde has always been up near the front, and I don't know whether that's a sign he's feeling really good, but sometimes it's a little early to be pushing this early, and when you're right up on the pacers, that's a lot of mental energy that you're wasting. But he looks great right now. He's tucked in right behind him, and the rest of the pack, they seem pretty comfortable too.
All right, now we're going to check in on the men's wheelchair. Thanks so much, Galen. I always love to hear your perspective. Just a few years ago, we were listening to Ed talk about you, so it's really interesting to hear what you have to say. All right, let's check in with the men's wheelchair. Amanda, looks like we've seen another shift. We've now got Marcel Hug in front.
This is a huge difference from what we've seen on this course the past few years, where Marcel Hug has been out on his own with no one inside. But it is Marcel Hug, and that's Daniel Romanchuk in the red coming up his outside. And then back in the distance is Tomoki Suzuki. And this has happened a couple times so far in the race. A little bit of a surge has gone on. Tomoki Suzuki has fallen back, but every single time so far he's been able to close that. But you know, the later you get into the race, the more fatigue you're carrying, the harder it gets to counter those attacks and close the gaps. This is Daniel Romanchuk up in the lead now, and you can see we talked a little bit earlier about cadence of strokes, and we can see how relaxed Daniel Romanchuk is here. He's got a stroke sequence going. He's not going too hard, but something really interesting about Daniel Romanchuk and his chair. If you look in the inside of his wheels, both Marcel and Daniel have the same wheel, and the hand ring, the part that Daniel pushes on, is so big, it's almost touching that outside carbon rim versus Marcel's, which is much smaller. That means Daniel gets more wheel coverage, and he can essentially push in a higher gear than anyone else can with his 7-foot wingspan.
I was just going to say, these are the longest arms I've ever seen in my life.
His arms are so long. He is built to be a wheelchair racer, and he is so strong and so good at the sport.
All right, well, we'll keep watching them because they're getting close to the end. Don't go anywhere. An exciting finish looks like it is coming your way with the men's wheelchair finish. Stick with us. We'll have more of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon when we come back.
I'm Kate Swain, and I'm running the 2024 Chicago Marathon for 3 reasons. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of my cancer surgery, to raise funds for the American Cancer Society, and to encourage anyone anywhere facing a challenge. You've got this. I was 29 years old when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and 11 days later, I was in the operating room having a hysterectomy to get rid of it. It completely changed the trajectory of my life. Every year I celebrate a cancerversary that I've named the anniversary of the day of my surgery. It's a very emotionally charged day for me. So this year, now that it's the 10th anniversary, I really wanted to do something to mark the occasion. I had been talking about running a marathon probably since high school, and I thought, what better year than this year to show the world I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I can do something amazing with my body and raise money for the American Cancer Society. I've been running since high school cross country. Running is like an old friend. You can keep coming back to it anytime, no matter your age, it's always there. I think a lot about what it's gonna feel like crossing that finish line. I'm not sure if I'm gonna let out the biggest scream of joy or if I will burst into tears, maybe both at the same time, but that feeling of accomplishment and
Welcome back. You're watching the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Live pictures as the wheelchair racers are making that turn from Cermak onto Wentworth, entering Chinatown, one of the neighborhoods, one of the 29 neighborhoods along this marathon course. And what a beautiful day for racing we have here. Important to point out that the Bank of America Chicago Marathon is one of 6 global races that makes up the Abbott World Majors series. They form the Abbott World Marathon Majors, the other being Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, and New York City. You can see the dates there. Champions of the Abbott World Marathon Majors are determined through a point system taken from a maximum of 2 qualifying races over a series. The current series concludes next month with the New York City Marathon. There's also a 6-star system, and as of last month, more than 17,000 runners have competed in all 6 of these races. If you'd like to find out more information, you can log on to AbbottWMM.com. We're here at the finish line getting ready for the racers to make their way here. They're getting close. Marion, we'll be waiting for them.
I know, they're getting really close. Let's take a look at them right now. And we can see, Amanda, you've talked a lot about the shifts in leadership. It looks like it's happened again. So does this portend a tight little sprint finish for us?
This is shaping up to be quite an exciting finish. Tomoki Suzuki has fallen off the back again. This is Marcel Hug with a little bit of a surge here right now, but Daniel Romanchuk is hanging in really tight behind him. And I think that it's going to be interesting watching this play out because both Tomoki Suzuki and Marcel Hug have done a lot of work in this race with speed plays, with surges, with trying to break that pack up. And Daniel has been really calm and really relaxed, just kind of tucked into that draft. When he gets up in the front, he's been pulling steadily. He hasn't been trying to surge. He hasn't been trying to make any attacks. And so Daniel's probably going to have a little bit more left at the end, and that's important too because this race ends with the biggest climb on the course, and it's going to be a headwind for the last few miles coming up to that finish.
All right, so we shall be checking it out. Now we want to check in with the men's professional pack. Let's see who we got coming up to the halfway point. What are you seeing here, Ed?
I still see Wolde up there working side by side with Ngedic, but Amos Kipruto now in the solid blue, asserting himself a little bit now, moving up a little closer to that. But we still have really a pack of 8, 9 men running closely together, but Amos Kipruto now moving upwards a little bit. Now would be probably our 3rd runner if you take out the pace setters. So this is a good pacing on their part. They came through 20K at 59:03, so that's 2:04:34 pace. And we should probably mention the Americans, Zach Panning, CJ Alberson right now running together. They came through 20K at 1 hour even, which would put them on about 2:06:32 pace. I believe Shadrach Kipchirchir and Brian Schrader running together at 2:08:21 pace, so a couple minutes back. And now the men just came through half, 1:01:20. So they definitely have picked up, coming through in 1:01:20. So now we're more at 2:02:40. My math skills are really good. I can double that. So 2:02:40 pace. So yeah, we see that they have stepped down, and again we said they had that 4:36 mile in there. So things are really ratcheting up a little bit, and this is where things get exciting, because now from halfway on we'll see if they have the temerity to try to negative split. Coming through in 1:01:20 though is a very solid pace.
Well, we were talking a lot about.
Sorry. I just was given it was actually 1:02:20, which makes more sense because suddenly that's more like 4:04:40. So 2:04:40 pace is what we were on. They came through in 1:02:20 for half, and okay, that makes sense.
We talked so much about negative splits last year because that's exactly what Kelvin Kiptum was doing. So it's exciting when you start to hear that discussion, but that's not happening at this point yet, right, guys? All right, we want to take a look now at Ruth Chepngetich. She is still coming. She's moving her way to the halfway point, still looking like she is by herself. Carrie, what are you hearing and seeing?
We have heard that she's about 8 seconds up on Sutume Kebede, and they're coming up to that half marathon, which is going to be super fast. We know in 2021 she went out in 67:34, and that's when she came back and ran 7:74 for the second half, but still won. So she is well under that this year, and she is chasing that record. We know that world record of 2:11:53 set in Berlin of 2023 by Tigist Assefa.
Yeah, let's see if she does it. I know I feel like sometimes that she's felt like she's had a little, not a chip on her shoulder, but to have Sifan-Hassan come in here and really kind of dominate last year, do you think she feels like she has something to prove?
I think she didn't like finishing second. She wants to be one of those very few that have won 3 times, but she is somebody that is thinking now about the time. I mean, so many people are talking about, can women break 2:10? Well, she is on pace for that. She just went through half marathon in 1:04:16.
Wow.
That's one of the fastest half marathons we've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
So she's going through now in her halfway split in that. And so she is someone that has sort of changed the sport. She was one of the first people, if not the first, I think, to break 65 minutes in the half marathon. She's just always someone that takes charge and goes for it.
All right, good for her. And does it quietly and slowly and just in her own way. All right, let's see if we can take a look at the men's wheelchair. Another little lead shift here, Amanda, but this is tactical. This all feels tactical.
This race has been so tactical, and this is the same thing we have seen every single time we have checked in. Tomoki Suzuki has fallen off, and he has been able to close that gap and catch up every single time. But they are getting close. They're coming up on 40K pretty soon, and then after that, it's just 2K to the finish. And it's worth mentioning, Marcel Hug has won this race the past 2 years, but the last person to beat him on this course was Daniel Romanchuk, and he did it at the line. It was a sprint finish. And Daniel Romanchuk is setting himself up right now for a repeat of that 2021 victory.
I think that was his Chicago debut as well, if not his marathon debut. I'm not sure, but I remember thinking, gosh, this young kid from the University of Illinois is doing so well. We were so excited to see him win, and I don't think Marcel, and ever since then, it's sort of been Daniel and Marcel sort of in the lead pack almost always.
So it's really funny because the last time Marcel was defeated on the road was in 2021 at the Chicago Marathon. The last time Marcel Hug was defeated on the track was in Paris, the Paralympic Marathon, or the Paralympic 5,000, where Daniel won. And in that stretch in between, Marcel Hug was undefeated over every single distance, road and track, for nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
So if there is someone who can do it,
it's Daniel.
It is Daniel Romanchuk. But here up in the lead again, pulling ahead a little bit, Tomoki Suzuki.
And even at the press conference, Marcel Hug acknowledged, he says, one of the things I'll be doing is watching to see where Daniel Romanchuk is. I wonder if he had Tomoki Suzuki in his mind.
I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone had Tomoki Suzuki in mind. It was such a surprise to so many people to see him nab that second place spot at the Paris Paralympic Marathon. But Daniel is hard to beat on the hills. We talked about how long his arms are, what great wheel coverage he gets, and that it's essentially an extra gear that he gets on everyone else. His strength is climbing, and he knows it. And if he comes into that final climb with the 3 of these guys, in this group of three, it's going to be really, really hard to stick with him up that short, steep climb.
Okay, we'll be watching real quick. We're going to get back to the men's wheelchair really soon because they're getting close to the finish. We want to check in on the men's elite, though, and see what that's looking like and where the leaderboard is with those folks. Ed, what are you seeing?
Yeah, well,
here?
we've got 9 still in that lead, and Wolde now has moved back up. He's been content to be that second guy along with Ngedic, and Ngedic in the yellow and Wolde in the blue, and that's Kenya versus Ethiopia. And these two East African countries, they are the medal winners in international championships and competitions. And there is a friendly rivalry, maybe sometimes not so friendly rivalry between these two countries. And so certainly there is pride amongst them in trying to beat one another in the field. But right now it's Ngedic strongly in leading. They came through the 14th mile in 4:44, so they really continue to kind of roll off mile splits that will bring them home in about 2:04, and I think that is why we're still seeing about 8 men besides those pacers in that lead pack. So really you can't discount anybody that's in that lead pack, and when you have synergy like this running together past half marathon, then you know you're probably going to have a blazing finish. And Amos Kipruto in the solid blue there on the right of the screen right now in the Adidas kit, he's also from Kenya. He has the second fastest personal best at 2:03.13, and he knows how to win and place well in big time marathons. He was a bronze medalist at the World Championships in 2019, so I think he's feeling pretty good. But right now, anytime the pace lags, Vincent Ngedic is the man there. He's 2 for 2 in terms of marathons. He's run 2:03.13 and 2:04.18 recently, and that's right around the pace they're at right now.
All right, let's check in with the women's elite, one person in there with her pacers. And Carrie, the halves have been showing some impressive times.
Oh my goodness, we have seen the 2 fastest women ever over half marathon on U.S. soil. This is so exciting. Ruth unofficially is the U.S. fastest half ever, and she's on the 5th fastest in history. Wow. I mean, she's running so well. But we have a long time to go. And Situma Kibete, she's only about 15 seconds back. Wow. So she's not out of it.
Not out of it, no.
And at paces like this, sometimes they can be self-destructive paces when they're going that hard.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's the fastest half marathon ever run on American soil, and she still has another half to go.
Yeah.
Tells you.
Let's go.
She's going for it.
All right, here's Catherine de Brunner, Amanda. She has been by herself. I think she's pretty much showing how dominant she can be.
The whole race, she's got about a 2.5-minute lead right now on the chase pack of Tatiana McFadden and Manuela Schär. She just came through 35K at 1:19.10, so she's a little bit off of course record pace, but she has been consistent running 11:10, 11:12 5Ks this whole race, just like clockwork.
Okay, now let's check in with the men. We're getting close to the finish. I can see that they are making their way down Michigan Avenue, and this is when they'll make their way to Mount Roosevelt, that final climb that I know all the runners hate so much because this is the flat course until the end, which is how cruel is that?
It's cruel.
You know, to have to hit that at the very last point too. So where we can see now what's happening here, Amanda. It looks like is somebody breaking out, or is there
a little bit of a surge on the left side of the screen from Marcel Hug, but not a big one. Marcel likes to play with speed a little bit. He'll put in a couple of quick strokes and see if anyone reacts, see if he starts to pull away, and if he does, then he'll take advantage of that. But Daniel Romanchuk tucked up right behind him, as he has been the whole time. Tomoki Suzuki hanging off the back a little bit further, but we've seen that, and we've seen him recover time and time again.
I love to see the tactics. There's so much strategy in both the running and in the wheelchair races. It is just fascinating to see.
And it's been so tactical. At the halfway point, these three were on track to run a course record. They were going to go sub 1:23 for a new course record. And since then, they're now at about 1:25.20. Oh, so they have slowed down a lot, and this changed from a race for time and a race for a course record to that tactical, strategic. This is now a race for first place.
Yeah, they want the win. They are going for the win. Yes. All right, here comes Daniel again. I mean, I feel like Marcel's looking over like, dude, Go away. And it's not going to happen. All right, let's check in. We're going to stay with the men's because we are getting close. I recognize some of the buildings and things. That's why I know where they are. And they are on Michigan Avenue and making their way toward Roosevelt. I can't see exactly what street they're about to cross, but they're getting close.
They're getting close. They just passed 40K a little while ago. They're at a 1:25:40 pace. And also it's worth noting that this is the headwind section of the course again. And headwinds are every element that you can think of affects you more when you are on wheels. And so the headwinds are a little bit stronger, the tailwinds are a little bit better, but the headwinds hurt a little bit more. This is where Marcel Hug really excels because he is so efficient. You can see how low he is, how aerodynamic he is, and how tight he keeps his chin to the front of his frame. He is so strong in a headwind, and this is where it's important for Daniel Romanchuk to get tucked up in there to get a little bit of that draft so that they can hang on and be ready for the sprint. But I wouldn't want to be in a head-to-head sprint with Daniel Romanchuk after 26 miles.
I wouldn't either. All right, so tell me, what kind of training are they doing as they are reaching the finish? I mean, how do you train for the finish? Is it always with the sprint, or is it somewhat tactical?
It can change from every race, and it's one of the things that I think is the most fun about wheelchair racing is that you never know what's going to happen, and there is so much strategy. Every part of this is a learned skill. So the wheelchair racing stroke, the way that you push the chair is different than the way that you push an everyday chair. The way you steer, the way you sit, learning how to take turns, and then also taking advantage of your strengths and using them to hurt your opponents. If you're really, really strong on the climbs, you want to hit those hard and make everyone react to you. If you're great at turning, you want to accelerate out of those turns. And we've seen a lot of that. Marcel Hug is so good at all of the tactical pieces. When he comes out of those turns, he's been surging. When he hits the hills, when he hits the downhills, he'll do some overspeed. He can push faster than anybody else can.
They're making that turn. This is Mount Roosevelt, that last moment. How are you feeling right here, Amanda, as you're heading up this hill after 26 miles?
Everything hurts. Everything hurts, head to toe, every inch of you. But there is no choice. You know that it is going to be all out. And Marcel Hug was ready. He took off hard as soon as they came around the turn. Daniel Romanchuk's got a little bit of work to do if he wants to close it, and he's going to want to be at the front when they hit the last turn into the finish line because Marcel Hug's downhill overspeed is so strong.
It looks like he's pulling out. It looks like Hug is pulling out.
After the entire race is a pack of 3.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We are seeing it happen. All right. Call it for us, Amanda.
And that is it. The 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion for the 3rd time in a row will be Marcel Hug.
Doing it again from Switzerland,
He fought for that one. He fought for that one. And on his tail, Daniel Romanchuk. And more, a name I think we're going to be hearing more of now that we've, well, you already knew who he was, of course, but Tomoki Suzuki, it's good to see another name that we can pay attention to, and he has got place number 3. He will be podium, is that a verb? Podiuming today. It's so exciting to see this race and to see the wins and the work that goes into it. Amanda, I mean, at the end of a race like that, I mean, obviously you're exhilarated when you're in the top 3. But I mean, just when you're post-race period, how are you feeling? What's going through your mind? I'm so glad it's over.
Yeah, a lot of that. I was trying to think about how to put it into words because it is a flood of emotions. When it's a good race, you're so excited, and that adrenaline is kind of carrying you through the excitement. But you're exhausted. No matter how much you train, no matter how many times you've done this, 26 miles is a long, long way, and it hurts.
I bet. I can't imagine it wouldn't. All right, let's check in with the women's wheelchair race. Kathryn de Bruyne, a couple of minutes ahead still. She is so dominant right now in the last few seasons, and she's showing why at this moment.
still with about 2.5 minutes on the chase pack, but she's been really consistent. She's been running the same 5K splits this entire race. So she set off with a speed that she wanted to hold, splits that she wanted to hold. And unlike runners, most wheelchair racers race with a cycle computer. So you can see it on the front of her chair just below her handlebars. There's her brake and her handlebars, but instead of going off of split times, most wheelchair racers use live speed. And that's because the conditions on the course can affect the speed so much. So whether it is an incline or a downhill or a headwind, that can change the speed that you are averaging quite a bit, and it can change your mile splits. And so instead of going off of steady mile times and steady mile splits, they go off of
that's
live
a nice
speed.
little nugget. Thank you so much, Amanda. Love having you here. Definitely love that expertise. Let's check in on the men's elite field. I can see the pacer in the front. I don't know where they are behind that. Is that Career still?
Yeah, I think that's Career. Again, our two-time LA Marathon champ who has done so very well here at Chicago, getting third here in 2022, fourth last year. He has been a guy that's kind of followed the pace. And when you see the pack stringing out like that, then you know some work is being done. Right now, I think it's Career, Ebenyo, Kipruto, and then 4 or 5 others that are just chasing that pack, looking very solid. And again, just trying to match things. They ran 4:43 on the last mile. They continue to hover right around. They ran 25K through 1:13:47, so they're about 2:04:32 shape pace. And this is where things get difficult. Amos Kipruto back a little bit from Career. There's a little bit of an opening. I think it's still probably too early for him to break them, but behind Career, our next man is Kipruto wearing the solid blue.
All right now the men's elite group is on Jackson in the West Loop. They just passed the target, didn't make any stops. It's tough not to pass the target and not go in, but they did not. They are just at the Aberdeen area, so they're making their way around mile 16. Don't go anywhere. We will be back shortly. We're going to take you away with a beautiful look of our city with some drone footage sponsored by Abbott. Life to the fullest. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon will be back right after this. We live in a beautiful city, do we not? Right now, you're looking at Wacker Drive and the River Walk along the Chicago River, and the runners are getting a nice view of the city of Chicago as well. This is drone footage provided by Abbott, life to the fullest, and we certainly appreciate it. I love our gorgeous city. Now let's take a look at the women's leading pack. Ruth Chepngetich has been very consistent. She's led the entire way, really, Carrie.
She has. She is about 50 seconds up from Satume Kebede. So Satume falling off just a little bit. We know that Joycelyn Jepkosgei is 4 minutes back in third place. So Ruth is really hammering. But let's just give a little bit of an update on the American women. We know our first American is Susanna Sullivan, the teacher from D.C. We love her story.
Love it.
She has done so well in the last couple years. She hasn't gotten quite the attention, which she should. She was 58th at the World Champs in 2023 on a broken patella. That's your knee. And you think of running, you use your knee every single time you take a step. So she really had to work through that. She missed the Olympic trials last February, well, this past February. And so having a really great race right on 2:20 pace, which would be a huge PR and well under that World Championship standard, which a lot of the Americans are going after, which is 2:23:30. And then in second and third for the Americans, Betsy Sena and Emma Bates. So Betsy Sena, the fastest American in 2024, trains with Joycelyn Jepkosgei, has also been coming back from an injury, and so has Emma Bates. Emma Bates ruptured her plantar fasciitis last year in this race. Still finished, but is so strong and is saying she thinks she's in shape to run under 2:20, but is trying really just to have fun. I got to tell you something fun about her. She has these awesome nails right now, and they look like claws. So she says the claws are coming out.
All right. Yeah. Whatever it takes to get you motivated, to get you moving. All right, let's check in with the men.
Well, and unfortunately, I was going to add, we have not had a split off of Keira D'Amato since 15K, which is not a good sign. We were speaking just 2 days ago, and unfortunately, in the taper, her foot, she's got a little tiny pain in the arch of her foot. Sometimes in the marathon, you are only as good as your weakest link, and I'm afraid that maybe some plantar issues have flared up, but that was so rare. We were patting ourselves on the back last week because we had got through the build without an injury, but sometimes in that pre-race taper, as you bring the mileage down, then you'll have little things that come up. So unfortunately, I think she's out.
It's part of the game, right? I mean, as unfortunate as it is, that's what happens when you're a runner.
Yes, absolutely.
And looking at the men now, we got two men in yellow. The one with arm sleeves, that is John Career. Again, he's been third here. He's been fourth here. He's been the guy that's been following the paces. They ran their last mile 17 at 4:40, so that's a good solid pace. And running right comfortably next to him is his Kenyan countryman Vincent Ngetich in the yellow, also looking very good. Our lead pack now is down to 7 men. Let's see, Ebenyo, who is the newcomer, he's kind of back there, the taller runner as well. He's looking very comfortable. He has not yet took a sniff into the lead because he knows this is his first one. He wants to just follow for as long as he can and maybe use that track speed at the end. And then Amos Kipruto in the solid blue and the darker blue. He's the consistent man, and he was also one that also has the second fastest personal best time of 2:03:13. So he's feeling pretty comfortable right now as well.
All right, let's check in on the women's wheelchair race. Getting close to the finish, Catherine de Bruyne is basically all by herself, as she has been for the entire race. Amanda.
She has been so steady this entire race, and this is such a hard place to be in. It's hard mentally to push on your own like this, but it's hard physically. There is no one else out there, no one to help break the wind for you, no one to pace off of. It is just Catherine out on her own.
That's what she wants to do, though. You said that this has sort of been her tactic.
It has been. And she is on pace to smash the course record. And this is just what she has been doing. She goes out hard, she sets a pace, and she is just super, super strong, super, super steady.
Wow, her own pace. She is on Mount Roosevelt right now. She is about to make that turn onto Columbus Drive, and we're about to see our reigning champion from 2023 take on another win in 2024 and maybe another course record. She set the course record last year.
For the second year in a row, breaking her own course record. That's $50,000 if you break the course record.
Oh, wow.
Which is a huge bonus.
Now here she comes. All by herself.
And helping to bring nourishing meals to families in need.
Bring her in, Amanda.
You know, it's not the most exciting to watch, but it's such a great place to be. All by herself this second year in a row. Catherine de Bruyne, the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion.
All right. Way to go. I mean, and Did she break? We don't know just yet if she broke the record. She was on pace to do it with a nice little bonus, as you mentioned. We will find out shortly if she did break the course record. Do we know where 2 and 3 are is the question. See if we can find out if Susanna Scarona is still in the mix, if Manuela Schar is in the mix. We'll get some information about that. We had some wonderful folks working behind the scenes with us, keeping track of all of our runners. All right, now we are going to check in with the men's elite group. What are you seeing here, Ed?
Well, continuing to see pack of 7 men now running, and they're up and challenging the pace setter, and it looks like we've got somebody who wants to take the lead over the pace setter. The pace setter's done an admirable job. He's kept them at 2:04 pace, and right now we've got a new leader moving into the lead. I'm trying, the reason why we saw them spreading out right there, they're going for their water bottles. It's amazing, and that's it. Issa, for the first time, we're seeing him take the lead. And part of that was just at 30K here as they get their water bottles. He was moving forward, he was accelerating so he could get access to his bottle. But sometimes that also tells you how they're feeling, the fact that they can accelerate, they can pick up their bottle running fast. And now, but I think he's also now tucked himself back in now that he's come.
He is a big name, though, Mohamed Issa.
And we have not even talked about him so far.
Second in the Boston Marathon this last spring. I mean, he's just kind of sitting on the heels of all these athletes, maybe just waiting for the right moment. But he is a huge name, and it was kind of fun to just see him up there because it is such a big pack. It's so different than the women's race.
So often it's the guys you don't talk about for the first 3/4 of the marathon that end up coming on strong at the end. And the fact that he could accelerate, grab his bottle like that, and then ensconce himself back in the pack is a good sign for Issa fans.
What are they grabbing when they grab their water bottle? I'm always fascinated by their nutrition. What's going into what they're taking in?
Well, it's just a carbohydrate electrolyte mix. It's usually about 6% carbohydrate solution. Back in the old days, we would just use de-fizz Coca-Cola, and which was about 6% carbohydrate. Now they're a little bit more high-tech. We have potassium, magnesium, all kinds of electrolytes in there to help boost them through. Some of them just take water, and then they'll take a gel that will have a more concentrated kind of glycogen mixture in there that they'll take on. But everybody has their own water bottles that they're comfortable with, that they have their elite fluids in.
All right. They are making their way. I'm not exactly sure. And we just looks like we lost some pictures. So let's check in on Ruth Chepngetich. She is still all by herself and apparently on a pretty good pace here, Carrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise to see her by herself, but I do think it's just so interesting how much she relies on those pacers, as we can see her going, just even grabbing normal water, not quite able to catch it, which I don't love because that does show your coordination and maybe your focus. She got it, right? But it took her 3 times. She is really moving fast, though, to try to grab those waters. But yes, she is all on her own. And as I said, she is one that trains by herself. She just went through mile 18. That's right around 30K at 4:59. So she's just been hitting 4:59, 4:58, 4:59. She is still under world record pace.
Wow, I want to ask you some more questions about her training for herself. But first, we want to go to the finish line and Alex Maragos, who is with our men's champion, Marcel Hug. Alex?
Marion, thanks. Marcel Hug 5 times now winning the Chicago Marathon. How did this one feel, Marcel?
Feels incredible. Very, very happy, very satisfied. It was a beautiful day for the marathon today with good conditions, great atmosphere, and but for me it was really tough. It was a tactical race. I attacked countless times, and then we had a finish sprint, and luckily, I won.
It was certainly not your easiest win here. You really had to work. You were not all alone at the end or anything like that. You said on Friday, if I win here, I have to beat Daniel. Yes. He was with you. He was with you all the way again today.
Yeah, it was a big challenge today with Daniel. He was very strong. I had to work very hard, attack so many times. Didn't work. He was always following, and but in the end, I was a little bit surprised because in the uphill he usually is stronger, but this time, luckily I was better sprint, and then good finish.
You have proven that you could win anywhere in the world, any time of year, any kind of course. What did having the Paralympics and winning that marathon in August bring to your preparation for Chicago?
It was quite challenging, honestly, because the focus was totally on the Paris Paralympics. Trained hard to this. Afterwards, I was very exhausted, also mentally. But luckily I could keep up the focus again, the motivation for Chicago and all the 4 marathons. And I mean, it's always great to compete here in the Chicago Marathon. So it means a lot and gives a lot of energy and motivation.
Marcel, thank you so much for joining us here today. Congratulations, and hope to see you back for a 6th, we hope, challenging next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. We always like to have our champions come back, and it's so impressive. All right, we're back to Ruth Chepngetich. Question about her training herself. Carrie, what does that tell you? How in the world do you do that? I think that would be so difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, she's been doing it for quite some time. And, you know, she has these male pace setters. So she writes her own plans. She runs about 105, 110 miles a week on 6 days a week. So she takes Sundays off. She's a mom, like she's a businesswoman. She has all these goals in mind, and she just gets it done. There are more athletes now, and Ed can speak on this. Yes, there are a lot of women and men that have coaches, but there's also a lot of people that take what they've learned and they've made their own plans and they've done really well with it.
What do you think about that, Ed?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, I was, as an athlete, I was self-coached for about 3/4 of my career as well. You tend to pick up things along the, and if you're doing this for 10, 15 years, then you kind of see what other elites are doing and you kind of incorporate that. I always liked, though, thinking back on my career, the times when I did have a coach or at least a close training companion that I could bounce ideas off of and make sure that I wasn't either overdoing it, underdoing it, and that I was pacing my, you know, doing my pre-race strategy correctly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to have someone that's kind of an outside eye checking you out from an objective point of view versus you trying to make sure you're on track. Okay, Ruth is 1 minute and 57 seconds ahead of her next competitor, Satume Kebede. So it's her race right now.
Yeah, at 30K, so they still have about 12K to go.
So they got a ways to go, but still, we'll see. She's been pretty consistent. All right, who are we looking at now? Let's take a look at the men. The Pacers look like they've fallen.
Yeah, this is a big point because the Pacers are now there, and now the real racing begins. And with the real racing, we have Career looking good. John Career, again, he has run so well here at Chicago in the past, getting 3rd here, getting 4th here. And then the man who is right on his heels, Amos Kipruto in the dark blue, Mr. Consistency, always runs well, always finds a way to get on the podium at these World Marathon Majors. And I believe that's Asa in 3rd place, also with the arm sleeves, looking very good at this point in time. We haven't talked a lot about Asa, but he was the one at the last water stop that moved out. What has he done? Well, he was only 2nd at the Boston Marathon in 2024. He's run 2:06:58, and the last mile 20, they ran in 4:37. So the reason why we're seeing a disintegration of this pack a little bit is they are picking up the pace, running at 4:37 for mile 20.
I like how you said the race is now really on. This is always when it gets extremely exciting, and when I guess the tactics. This is a different level of tactical race at this point. Ed?
Yeah. I mean, I often say, you know, you can divide the marathon into 2 equal halves: the first 20 miles and the last 6, because everything is kind of preamble to the real racing, that last final 10K where the gloves come off and they really can start duking it out. Now the paces are out of the way, and we're seeing who is it that wants to keep the pace going. And right now, the man who wants to keep that pace rolling along is John Career.
Real quick, I want to send a shout out. We have some folks behind the scenes that are giving us a lot of the times and making sure we know the splits and things like that. Dorian Kale from the New York Marathon always focuses us really well in the wheelchair. Jay Holder, who I call the encyclopedia of running, bringing up all the times and keeping track of everybody. And Mary Kate Shea from the Boston Marathon. They always provide such tremendous support. The more eyes, the better, as we can see. Ed is making motions with his hands. I'm trying to interpret that.
That means that John Career is putting some pace in, and we know they ran the last mile in 4:36. That's stretched it out. My guess would be that if we look at this next mile, that is another fast one, because suddenly it's gone from a pack of 7 people to a pack of 1.
That was fast.
with some chasers behind him. So I'm glad we were able to catch this. And it looks like the guy who's leading the chase pack now is Amos Kipruto.
I like, though, John Career this year. He's been winning his races. He came in this year with his tune-ups. We call them tune-ups, their final races. He ran Falmouth in August. He won there. He was first in the Utica 15K. But last year, he was second in both of those races. So when you've been fourth and third here, you got a chip on your shoulder. You want to break that tape. And he seems like the guy that really is going for it, obviously breaking this open.
Yeah, and he put a little distance there, that's for sure.
He has. And when you're in that chase pack, you haven't given up at this point in time. For one, you're wanting to beat those guys that are right around you, and you know that things happen over the last 5 or 6 miles in the marathon. So if you can hang tight, sometimes you can weather the storm and come storming back if John Career gets a hiccup here.
Do you like when the athletes take off at this moment? I mean, there's still time to be run, so it's nerve-wracking for me. If he's feeling good, go for it, or do you say sit
6
and
miles
relax?
is still a long way to go, isn't it? And there's so much, and this is about the time. You talk about the wall that's in the marathon. Well, obviously these guys train so that they can bust through that wall, but there is a point where you start exhausting the glycogen that's in your muscles, the glycogen, the energy that's used to do muscle contractions and to move fast at the end of the race. And right now, he is burning some glycogen, but he is opening up some time. It would be nice if we can get to Galen and talk to him and see what's
You're right.
going
Let's
on
see
there.
if we can hook up with Galen and see what he's observing about John Career. We're going to do that right after we hit a break and try to check in and see who the person who is closest to him. He's on the camera that is following John Career. We'll get back to Galen Rupp in just a moment so he can give us his rundown of what he thinks John Career is doing right now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more with our reporters that are out on the course. We'll see what's going on. We're going to start in just a few minutes with Matt Rodriguez and Courtney Hall. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
We're here at the halfway point cheering on the runners, 16,000 of them running for charity. Did you know the Chicago Marathon is the largest single day of giving in Illinois?
That is right. Last year, they raised over $30 million for charity during the Chicago Marathon. And later in the show, we're actually going to highlight some of the amazing charity runners from this year's run. But until then, let's head on over to Pilsen with our girl, Lexi Suter.
Good morning from Pilsen. This is one of the most festive neighborhoods along the marathon course. One of the 29 neighborhoods that runners will be making their way through this morning. We'll have more from Pilsen later in this broadcast. It's a special spot because it's mile 20. They're providing that last extra lift for runners. But let's head out to Chinatown, where Kate Chappell is standing by. I am just past mile mark 21 under the iconic Chinatown Gate. This is where many runners start to hit that proverbial wall, but it's also where so many spectators, family, and friends gather to cheer on their runners. You can't miss the traditional lion dancers. In total, more than 2 million people are lining the course this morning.
Bank of America. My
name is Maria Luevano, and I am running the Chicago Marathon because running has taught me that I'm resilient, it's brought me healing, and it showed me that I can do anything that I set my mind to do.
And finish all events in 2025 will receive a unique medal once they cross the finish line at the Chicago Marathon. The Shamrock Shuffle kicks off the outdoor running season in March of 2025 with a festive atmosphere in downtown Chicago. The Chicago 3.1, held in June, weaves through historic parks and neighborhoods on the west side. And the Chicago Marathon wraps up the local racing season as the culminating event for 50,000 participants. For more information on the Chicago Distance Series, visit chicagomarathon.com.
Such great opportunities to hit the roadways. And as we take a look at John Career, who is in the lead with the men's professional runners, we're going to send it down to Alex Maragos and our women's wheelchair champion for the second year in a row, Catherine DeBrunner. Alex?
A wonderful repeat win and a course record unofficially here with Catherine DeBrunner. Catherine, congratulations. How did that feel to get your back-to-back second in a row here in Chicago?
Yeah, I was super excited to come back here to Chicago. I really liked that marathon here. It was just really unfortunate that Susanna got a flat tire really early. That's never nice, but it was a really tough race. There was a lot of wind, and of course, it's always tough when you do all yourself. And I struggled quite often, so I was really happy when I was in the finish.
That's the thing about these marathons. You make them look easy. We know they are not easy, especially coming off of 5 wins at the Paralympics, 5 gold medals, everything from the 400 all the way through the marathon. How do you look on this year and assess what you've done and think about all you've accomplished?
Yeah, this year has been like a fairy tale, to be honest. With the Paralympics, which was the big goal of this year. It was all about the Paralympics. We planned everything for it. And we know it's going to be a super long season with the marathon straight after the games. So we are all tired. But I'm really grateful to be here. We had a really strong women's field, a strong men's field. And that's amazing to show the world our strong fields.
You have not been able to take a vacation, a holiday this year because you've been so busy winning. Can you now finally relax and take a little bit of a break?
Yes, this was my last effort of this year. I will go for holiday when I come home, and I'm really looking forward to give my body and also my mind some rest to also process this whole year.
Well, Catherine, congratulations on a new course record and another win here in Chicago. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. I was wondering if she was going to make her way to New York, and she's not. I can understand. It's a well-deserved rest. She has been amazing this season. Now we're going to check in on our leading woman throughout the entire race and continues, Ruth Chepngetich, and still looking pretty strong, huh, Carrie?
She looks really strong. She had a couple slower miles, but slower in terms of just what her pace is, 5:07, 5:02. This woman is on pace to do something that I never really thought I would see in a lifetime until we saw last fall in Berlin when Tagisa Sefa ran 2:11. She is well under 2:10 pace, people. Wow. She's on 2:09.09. We want to cheer her on so much to see something that it's almost like seeing someone land on the moon. Remember way back in the day, I had a friend just say that to me. He said, it's like landing on the moon. This is something we've never seen.
That's how I felt last year when we saw Kelvin Kiptum with all those negative splits and come in almost under 2. It's one of those, you're right, this is remarkable athleticism.
To break 2:10 would be equivalent to breaking 2 hours, maybe even better than that. For a woman to break 2:10 would be like a man breaking 2 hours. So this is historic stuff that we're watching right now.
2:11.53 is that world record. The next one is the course record here, 2:13.44 by Sifan Hassan, the woman that won gold in Paris. So yes, what Ruth Chepngetich is doing right now is crazy. I mean, that's really the only word that comes to mind right now. We've seen her run this hard before, but look at here. I like that she's able to grab her water. I know it seems silly, right? But to be able to go over, get the right bottle, be able to grab the water, whatever it is, she still has her wits with her, right? Like when you get this far into the race, sometimes you get foggy. Sometimes you get a little bit where you don't really know what's happening. She looks like she is she is well aware of what's happening around her. She is in Chinatown. It's loud there, and she knows she's getting close to home.
That, you know, and hopefully that'll help give her a little bit of spirit. You know, when you hear those crowds as you come through, hopefully it'll help her out. All right, now we're losing a little bit of our signal, but this is I think our men's leader right here, Ed. This is Zach Panning.
Zach Panning, he's the American leader. He's on 2:07.14 pace. He came through 35K at 1:45.32, which puts him at 1:07.14. So he is slowing a little bit, but he's still getting his form together. This would be a big PR for him. He's running his PRs at 2:09.28, so he's a couple of minutes ahead of that. But he's got some hard running ahead. And then on the split screen above, you can see John Career, who is our leader, who's just blown away that chase pack. That group of maybe 7 runners that were together. The reason why? His 22nd mile was run at 4:22. Zach Panning is 9th place, I've just been told, on 2:07.14 pace. And up front, we got John Career still holding it together, ran a 4:22 22nd mile.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for some of that insight as to where your brain is as you're making your way. So the fact that Ruth Chepngetich is able to do what she does is that's the kind of background information that we don't know when you don't run that helps us understand what they're going through. And it is good to see. Here she is. Here's Ruth Chepngetich. It's great to see the American doing pretty well. 9th place is nothing to sneeze at in this race, right?
Well, and he's on a pace that would put him a minute ahead of his PR. 2:07. He'd be very happy with that.
We know that the American women, Susanna Sullivan, is still in the lead there, and she is still on that fast pace of 2:20. So giving a shout out to her, having a great day.
All right, we're going to try to get back and get a look at Susanna in the women's race as well. Right now, though, we want to check in with Stefan Holt, who has some very special guests with him.
Indeed, Marion. Thank you very much. Here with Emily Sisson, the current American women's record holder, and Joan Benoit Samuelson, another American record holder, joining us here to talk about the women's field, especially the American women that we're watching. Emily, I'll start with you because you're the current record holder.
Yeah.
Who are you watching now in the women?
Well, Susanna Sullivan's on 2:20 pace. I've been keeping my eye on her, seeing Betsy, Emma. Looks like they're all kind of close to each other, probably keying off each other and working together. It's a beautiful day here today, so I'm sure they'll close strong and close fast. But yeah, I'm excited. It's a great day for running.
We've lucked out with the weather out here.
Oh,
I know it's a little breezy out there, Joni, right now. Who are you watching?
Well, I'm watching everybody because this is such a great race, but I'm very impressed with Susanna's race at this point in the game. And Emma came in with a bit of an injury that she'd been overcoming, and she's running right there with Susanna. So I think it looks like a great finish for the American woman. And then Lindsay Flanagan's up there, too.
It's been a phenomenal race to watch. And of course, Chicago's just a spectacular course. But I'm curious, this being an Olympic year, I know we talked to Carrie Pinkowski about this, trying to recruit people to come and run this race. Take us through that athlete perspective when you're making decisions, whether to run in the Olympics, whether to run in a race like Chicago. How do you make that decision?
Well, from the athlete perspective, it's great because we have our Olympic trials in February. But if you don't make the team, or if you get an injury or a sickness or just something's off on the day, it's so nice we can just set our eyes to something else. Like there's always something else around the corner in our sport, which is so great. So if you're getting over one disappointment, you can just look forward to the next fall marathon or the spring marathon. So yeah, these women, I feel like they were looking forward to this and they're leaving it all out there.
Absolutely. I mean, running fast paces right there. And of course, something to look forward to. Joni, I can't help but reflect, this is 40 years since your barrier-breaking run in Los Angeles.
They're aging me.
But talk about, how are you reflecting on that run?
It just doesn't seem like it was 40 years ago. It seems like it was, maybe 3 years ago when Emily was taking over the American record. I remember that moment so vividly because I was here, Dina was here, and Kiara was here, and we all wanted to just descend upon Emily because we were so excited for her. And this year I have a daughter running, so it makes it even more exciting.
Special moment.
Yes.
What was that like to have Joan Benoit Samuelson coming down to congratulate you?
It was like something out of a dream. Like I still look back on those pictures and I get just butterflies, and that happened years ago. But it's so special, and just seeing these women, how supportive they are and how incredible they are to the next generation. I just hope I can be even a percentage of that to the next generation as well, and show that going forward, because it's been incredible to receive that.
You both have done so much for the sport, but you've also done so much here in Chicago. We talk about it being flat and fast, of course, but there's got to be something else. What is another factor about Chicago that really lends this to being such a great competition?
I think it's the Kerry factor. Kerry surrounds himself by a really great team, and what's so great about Chicago is it's a marathon for runners by runners. They really understand the runners' needs and their psyches, and it just makes for a really great event. It's October, it's Chicago.
Are we going to see you back here in Chicago soon?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's send things back to Alex Maragos. Alex.
Hey, Stefan, thanks so much. Here with Daniel Romanchuk, our second place in the men's wheelchair division, a man who's won here 3 times and knows Chicago very well. Daniel, congrats on a great race, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here again.
That was neck and neck. You guys really battled it out. I had Marcel here a couple of minutes ago, and he said it was so hard fought. How did you view this race and your performance today?
Oh, it's a great morning. Actually, quite warm for Chicago this time of year. So I woke up and really wasn't exactly sure what I was going to wear. But overall, a great day, and yeah, lots of pretty small pack. A couple miles in, and so just kind of a lot of back and forth.
What about this course specifically? Because you race all over the world. You're fresh off a gold medal in the Paralympics in the 5,000 meters. What about this course lets you perform at your best, and you've won 3 times?
Oh, I really love coming back to Chicago. Living in Champaign, only 2 hours away. It kind of is like a home marathon.
What do you think about going forward? Because you won in Boston back in 2022. You've won here, and of course you've had success all over the world. What do you try to think about as you push your career forward? Because you're still very young, 26 years old.
Really? I just try and take things just a race at a time, and not look too far ahead. Just look what's next. Just again, just concentrate on just what's next, and don't get too caught up with everything.
Daniel, a wonderful performance today, going neck and neck. What a battle. It was a pleasure to watch. Thanks for joining us here again.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Marion, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. Now we have our eye on the American women, the leader for American women. This is Susanna Sullivan. Very exciting for her.
It is, and I think everybody loves her story. She's a teacher. She's a volunteer coach at George Mason. She works really hard, trains really early, trains late at night, but she's in 8th place right now. I'm seeing a little bit of discomfort right now, but she's on 2:20 pace. That would be a 4-minute PR. So, just get through, right? Just get through. She is 1 minute and 9 seconds up over Emma Bates. And Emma Bates has had quite the history here, too. She's run really well. She was 2nd in 21, but last year came here, still was one of our top Americans, and ran on a plantar fasciitis or plantar that tore. And it took her out of the Olympic trials along with this woman. Emma Bates, Susanna Scaroni, 2 of our best here in America.
Sullivan.
Back to
Scaroni is a wheelchair.
Sullivan, 2 of our best, back here with a little bit of revenge. Their bodies are working today. They want to take advantage of it.
All right, love seeing it. And as we can see up in the corner, Ruth Chepngetich still doing well. She is in mile 23 at 5:01. What does that tell you?
That's a good sign. That's a good sign, because she had some 5:07s, 5:06s. Now she ran a 5:01. So I think that gives you some adrenaline to know that she has not fallen back that far. I think we could possibly see a sub 2:10, which would just be amazing. Otherworldly.
Well, when we saw Kelvin Kiptum run last year, it was a moment that all of us were like, pinch me,
in
right?
awe, right.
So 2:00. That's what we saw last year. And then the heartbreak that we've all kind of faced over the last year without him. And all of these athletes are running with him on their mind. And you know that Ruth Chepngetich thinks about him probably every day when she's back home. So she's running that way. She is running with a chip on her shoulder and with an angel up above.
You got that right. We said that he was inspiring this race, and I really think he is. I think people are gaining strength from him, because watching that performance from him last year was mind-blowing. It was really something to see. All right, we've got Ruth Chepngetich, as we said, and I think we are going to try to check in. Is it possible to check in with Dina? In the meantime, let's see how we're doing with the men's elite field. We got John Career still out front.
John Career, this is the lonely cleanliness of the long distance runner that you like. He's got a 30-second lead over the Chase pack. His last few miles have been 4:22, 4:31. He just ran a 4:46 for mile 24, so he's slowed a little bit. But having said that, he still has opened up a 30-second gap. And sometimes you don't want to look behind you in a race, but sometimes you sneak a quick peek and you realize, man, I don't need to keep rolling out 4:30s here. I can just roll in with 4:40 pace and still come home the champion. But he's still got a couple miles to go, and he's moving well. Form looks okay to me, and if you look in the back shot in the background, we're not seeing that Chase pack right now, so they're back.
They are not close to him. I mean, like you said, it looks like a lonely race right here. Do you want to be here, or would you rather have people around?
Oh, no, I want to be in the lead with
by myself.
I love that he did this. He's run his best times this year. He's set 2 PRs in the half and the full this year. He is gutsy, and he's taking advantage of what we all want to do. We want to take advantage of our best years of our life. He's having the best year of his life, so why not go for it? Go for it. And his brother, we know that his brother, Wesley Korir, is such an amazing runner. He is a winner in himself. So he has a little bit of like a tool in his back pocket, having his brother say, go for it. You can do this. It's your turn.
Yeah, why not? Galen Rupp is on the moto right in front of John Korir. What are you seeing? How does he look to you, Galen?
He looks phenomenal. I mean, there is still so much bounce in his stride. His eyes are looking around, moving. He's looking at people as he crosses by, and he looks very comfortable and in control. He is really just running a fantastic race right now, and I think obviously he's got a big lead. I think there's a great chance this is going to be your winner right here. He looks amazing.
Galen, you've been in this position before. You won the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. What do you think he's thinking right now?
I think he can smell it, and I think he can sense it a little bit. You know, he's not far from the finish line, and the crowds are getting bigger. His stride and his cadence still looks very similar to where it was a couple miles ago, and he's not looking back anymore. When he first started to make the break, he was checking to see where his competitors were, but for the last few kilometers, he is just in the zone, and he's just driving towards the finish line right now.
Can you see who's battling for second? We've been told Essa and Embenyo is still back a good 30 seconds. You may not even be able to see them.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I say, can you see who's next coming down on him? We hear Asa and Embenyo are back, but they're a good 30 seconds back.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing the Chase pack right here from where I'm at, and I'm riding right next to Korir. I'm not running in the lead moto, but yeah, he is looking great. He's continuing to keep the pressure on, and I think right now it's just a matter of managing his energy to the finish line, but he can certainly sense that he's close, and he knows the victory is within his reach.
Galen, I have a question for you. You know, Chicago comes out for this marathon. Chicago gets excited. The people come to cheer folks on. What does that mean as you're making your way toward the finish line to have those crowds cheering you on like that?
Yeah, the fan support is amazing. I'm having a hard time hearing you with all the crowd support that is out here right now. And the closer you get to the finish line, they just get louder and louder, and it certainly helps take your mind off of any pain you're in, any discomfort. Everybody's tired at the end of the marathon, but when you start hearing those cheers and they get louder and louder, that energy is just palpable, and it can really carry you to the finish line.
I can't even imagine the pain that you must be feeling. There's your leaderboard. You see John Korir at the top, Amos Caputo behind him by 1:32, but he's neck and neck with Issa. He's right there with him, Ed.
Wow, what he has done over this last 10K is amazing. Think about it. They had 7 people running together just 4 miles ago, and the fact that he threw in that 4:22, 4:30, 4:30, exploded that pack. Now they're 1.5 minutes behind him. They're going to be battling. Well, it'll be an interesting sprint finish, but we're not even going to see them for a while.
Yeah, we'll miss the sprint for second, but first he seems to be solidly all by himself and not hurting him.
Well, and he's not hurting it a bit because he just ran a 4:25 for his 25th mile, 4:25. So he's well in sight here with a couple of turns of the finish line, and no one's catching him at this point.
No, he is along Michigan Avenue right now, South Michigan Avenue. He's making his way toward Roosevelt and Mount Roosevelt, which we all know is a painful little last push in that .2. but he's got such a lead with 1:32. I mean, unless he started walking, I think there's no way he's not going to get this one.
Well, I love seeing this right now. Ruth Chepngetich almost up on the heels of her pacers. This is hard work for her pacers to run this pace. Not a lot of men are doing it today. She's right up there with our top men. So for her to be kind of chomping at the bit, she still has 2 miles to go. We know that she had one of her slowest miles just in that 24th mile, 5:24. So we need her to stay on it right now.
All right, we got to get back to John Career. He is now on Mount Roosevelt. He's about to make that turn onto Columbus Drive. He is about to become the 2024 Bank of America Marathon Champion.
He's past the 26-mile mark. This is the last little rise here, but his stride will not be checked. He's powering up over that last little hill. He goes over this bridge. He's going to make a left turn, and then it's just a sprint finish to the finish of this marathon. But quite frankly, he's been sprinting from mile 20 on. He has taken a pack, a very competitive pack of 7, 8 runners, and he has completely blown them away. They're a minute and a half behind. He's now seeing the finish line. And John Career, what an inspiring race. John going to his arms, looking good, a little bit of grit, of determination on his team, on his teeth. He will be the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon Champion. And what a way to do it. Strong last 10K, all the way to the finish. Props to Mr. John Career from Kenya. Unofficially, the time 2:02:42 unofficially. What a great finish, great negative split. We'll have to check on that negative split for you, but he definitely came home faster in about 60 minutes plus, and most of that was done over the last 10K.
That's given him a personal best, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that takes him a couple, is that full minutes? Or
that puts him, coming into this race, he had run, 2:05:01. He ends up 2:02, second fastest in the race history behind our winner from last year, Kelvin Kiptum.
Wow, amazing. Congratulations to John Career, your 2024 Bank of America Marathon Champion. It is always so inspiring to see these athletes at work. That they're still walking around at the end of 26.2 miles is remarkable. There's Kerry Pinkowski shaking his hand. What a beautiful thing to see. Congratulations to John Career. Take in this moment. Is this his, I know, has he won others? I believe this might be one of his biggest, this is his first major win,
He's
right?
won the LA Marathon twice, so there were some good signs on that. He ran 58 minutes for a half marathon recently, which is also a great sign. And now we're seeing, if we look at the screen now, we
looking
see
at the U.S. men.
Zach Panning, who's our top man right now. Again, Zach, kind of a heartbreaking story. He led the Olympic trials for 18 miles, did a lot of work there, and then faded. Looked like he might finish third, but faded to 6th place. But he's still running hard. He's running with the Japanese runner that we saw earlier on. Hosoya is right with him. And now he's just wanted to finish the best he can.
All right. We also want to check in with Ruth Chepngetich because she seems to still be on fire. Great to see Zach Panning there, but here's Ruth Chepngetich still by herself. Woo! Just did her 25th mile in 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yes, she is going for it, and that's what I said right when we were going away. I'm like, she's got to get back on it. She is. We are on world record pace. We know that, but this could be a sub 2:10 marathon. It is crazy. She is losing her pacers, as we said. She is now on Michigan, and she knows she can feel that finish line. She's already been.
Does she know the timing at this point? Does she time herself?
Yeah, she has people. Well, she doesn't have a watch on her, but she can see the lead vehicle. Okay. And it does give you your pace, your projected pace. So she's watching that.
Wow, she must be. Well, she has had a goal. I feel like she's one of those people who has always been quietly, if she's even slightly in the back, she's in the lead, but she's always in the mix. So, and I know last year she was not happy being second.
She was not happy with second. She has a bubble around her when she races. She is all eyes on her pacers, all eyes on the front, and she trains alone. And that's something, when you train alone, you coach yourself, you have to have such a strong mind. And she has visualization that she works through. She knows the different models that she has to have, and she She is doing it, everybody. She is right there hanging on, and this is where it's loud on the course.
Oh, yeah, which should help her. I hope they're giving her a lot of energy and a lot of strength, boosting her along. I love how the city of Chicago comes out, makes itself known, shows us how proud, even when it's raining and not so great outside.
One of my favorite
Folks are
stories
out there.
about Ruth Chepengetich, her dad wanted her to go to secondary school, and she said, no, I want to be a cop. And then she started running, and she said, no, I want to be a runner. And then he was okay with her being a runner because she's winning. And now I'm sure he is thinking, doing something that she's never done and nobody has ever done on this planet.
Amazing. All right, now we're going to take a look at the new U.S. men's leader. We've had a switch. C.J. Anderson is now taking the lead.
C.J. Albertson.
I'm sorry.
He did the same thing.
Albertson.
He's the U.S. 50K record holder. He did the same thing with Zach at the marathon, at the Olympic Trials Marathon, where Zach Panning led for a lot, and then C.J. Albertson came up strong at the end to overtake him. He's done the same thing. He will be, looks like our top American now has moved in. He's on 2:08.14 pace, so the pace has lagged a little bit. They're not going to get that World Championship qualifying mark, but 2:08.14 for him is still going to be a very good day. His PR is 2:09.53, so if he can hold it together, this will be a nice PR for him
He's
as well.
going to the top of Mount Roosevelt, and over the bridge, he'll soon be ready to turn onto Columbus Drive. Very soon he'll be able to see the finish line in his line of sight.
He's a father of two. I love how he trains. He puts bricks under his treadmill. He puts these sauna type lights in his room that he trains with. He's on the treadmill year round. He does different things, and he's going for it. He's having a phenomenal day.
Sauna lights on the treadmill?
Yep, he wants to sweat it out, learn how to just grind it out every inch of the way.
Here he comes. CJ's making his way down Columbus Drive, about to be the U.S. winner of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. He's got a smile on his face. He's still looking over his shoulder. You got it, buddy. You don't have to look back.
Nice time, big time PR for this man. He worked hard. He was on 2:07 pace for a while, but he's going to celebrate and enjoy this. He's going to come through at right about 2:08.15, 2:08.16 unofficially for C.J. Albertson. Big time PR, over a minute and a half.
All right, let's get to Ruth Chepengetich. She has turned onto Mount Roosevelt herself, so she is making her way. Oh my goodness, is she going to do it? Are we going to have another world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon? This is amazing to see. She has been in the lead the entire race. She is pounding it out. She looks like she's gained some more strength and is moving even quicker.
She has about 350 meters to go. She went through the half marathon faster than we've ever seen anyone on U.S. soil go through in 64:16 roughly. She's been able to hammer each and every step of the way, and this is something that she's been dreaming about, getting out up this hill, making a turn. She ran her last mile in 4:48. This is something that we will never see here in this year. I was going to say, wait a minute. I'm just so excited.
Here we go.
Last year we saw 2:00 on the men's side. This year, are we going to see us up 2:10?
All right, caller, bring her in. You got it, Carrie. Here is going to be our champion, Ruth Chepengetich. What a beautiful run to have watched. This race for her, it's like she's like, I had a plan, and this is it.
Well, she is a mom. She forgoed being a cop. She is now going to break the tape of the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon in a time of 2. Can I say it? Are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? 2:09 something. Let's get her here, everybody. We have seen it. 2:09.56. Bring it on, Neil Armstrong. We have another woman that has done something just like you. This is amazing right here. Sub 2:10, everybody. That woman has worked so hard. She's done things in this sport that we have not seen. She did it again today.
Unbelievable. Another world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Do we have an unofficial time? You were clocking, weren't you, Ed? What did you see?
I have 2:09.56 on my old coach's stopwatch. I believe that is also, I'm getting nods, that may be our official time, but the big deal, sub 2:10 for the first time in history, folks. Just happy and a privilege to be a part of this.
I mean, again, look at that flag, and we saw that last year, and this whole year, I know people have been thinking about what Kenyan athletes can do, and we've seen it. And she has been one of those Kenyan athletes that even the men look up to. She's won this race now 3 times. Not once, but 3 times, and she was second last year.
Last year
at that record.
Beautiful. The course record was set last year by Safan Hassan at 2:13.44. It has now been smashed by our new world record marathon runner, Ruth Chepngetich, 2:09.57 unofficially. Amazing. Another world record. Kerry Pinkowski knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
He sure does, and she knows what she's doing. She went out hard. I was a little bit nervous again. She went hard in 64.16, I believe, and then came back and crushed that 2:10 mark. Wow, composure, confidence, focus, drive, determination, love of this sport. It is a hard one. You have to give it everything, and especially with a woman who trains on her own. She's got a daughter back home who's looking up to her. I mean, all of us women are looking up to her. This is something that none of us thought was going to happen.
Amazing work.
And
amazing to
fearless on her part to go out where no one has gone before, to be on the fastest half marathon ever run on U.S. soil with another half to run. But she was not, she was undaunted. She was pushed full speed ahead, and for her to finish like she did, breaking 2:10 for the first time, history has been made.
And she looks great.
She looked great the whole time.
She was chomping at the bit. She was chomping at the footsteps of her pacers. She wanted to go even faster, and look at her here.
She looks like she has something in the tank.
Smiling, happy. Oh, this might be her new American home, Chicago.
Hey, why not? We'll have her, you know. We'll take her. She's the champion, and she deserves to be here as often as she likes. So great to see. Oh, what a beautiful race. Top to bottom. Top to bottom.
You know, never once really looked around to see who was with her. There might have been a glance, but it was all eyes up front, really looking to see what she could do and watch that clock.
Yeah, something to see. Top men, it looks like John Career, 2:02.43, Issa, 2:04.39, Caputo, 2:04.50, Getich, 2:05.15, and Ebenyo, 2:06. I can't see the 04. Thank you, Jay Holder, for bringing us those times. There's Kerry Pinkowski kissing the cheeks of his champion. You know he is so thrilled. And we knew the women's race was going to be one to watch this year, didn't we? We've been talking a little bit about that this was the one that was sort of, the possibility was there. She was always at the top of the list of the folks you were talking about, and she sure has shown and proved. There's no doubt about that.
And as we were excited, we were thinking, sub 2:13, sub 2:12, but to go sub 2:10, it's just mind-boggling.
It is. And, you know, she was 9th in London this spring. So she didn't quite have her day there. And she just, even her tune-up was 65.58 for the half marathon race that she used for her tune-up. She went through almost 2 minutes faster in her half in this race.
It's almost like she had a plan. Like she meant to make, you know, maybe not for the spring marathon, but maybe in her tune-ups, she had a plan. You know, maybe she was
in training,
just training it out and seeing where it brought her. Because whatever she did it right.
Well, she was number 4 all-time coming in. She's number 1 now.
Number 1.
And I believe the number 1 thing that she did right was to come to Chicago, run on this course. We talked about it before. You got to have all the elements come together. It's a great time of the year. The course is flat. It's fast. When the weather conditions cooperate, it's good. And then you had, I'd like to say she had good competition, but quite frankly, her only competition was the stopwatch and those pacers that were pushing her along early on.
Right. She was in this race by herself most of the time. And being a 2-time champion and even second place last time, she knows this course so well.
She really does. And she's run it each, like, kind of even at times, but then she's also gone out really hard and held on for dear life. So yeah, she really knows it. But it was fun. I just got a text from Dina, and she said, "What on earth?" You know, even Dina Castor, the great Dina Castor, is watching and just in awe as well.
Oh, I know she is.
She had a great seat.
The second place finisher still hasn't finished. That's how far ahead. Yep, she was. Ruth Chepngetich was. All right, she beat all but 2 American men, by the way, the top 2 finishing American
That's going to light a fire.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Now we're going to check in with Alex with our men's champion, John Career. Alex.
Marion, thanks. The second fastest time ever run on this course, 2:02.43 unofficially. John Career. Congratulations, John. How did that feel to have that run today?
It feels good. First of all, I want to thank the race directors for inviting me. I would like to thank my sponsors, ASICS, my coach, my big brother Wesley, and today it was feeling nice to run 202 and run my PB and win Chicago. You know, when we were coming here, we were going for the win, we were not going for the time. But you know, my brother Wesley and my coach said, you are ready and just believe in yourself and you can make it.
I was going to say, Wesley has run this race 7 times. He's not here today, but what did he tell you about this race, and did it help you?
It helped me. Wesley told me be patient and believe in yourself. You have done you have done your training, and now I know many people are happy at home now. My family and all people, we are happy, and we thank God for the good health and the win.
The only man who has run this course faster than you is Kelvin Kiptum. Were you thinking about him today? What were you thinking and feeling?
Today I was thinking about Kiptum, and I say if the last year Kiptum make to run 201, why not me? So I had to believe myself and try to do my best.
Do you have reaction to Ruth setting the world record, a fellow Kenyan? Now, Kenyans have the world record in the men's and women's both here in Chicago. What do you think about it?
I think it's good. It's good. The world record, the Ethiopian ran last in Berlin. They had won the world record. Now I think she has get it back to Kenya, and Kenya is happy and we are enjoying.
John Career, congratulations and thank you for this wonderful performance today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
Back to you, Marion.
I like how he said his big brother helped him out, said, you can do it, yes. Why not you? You can do it. I love to hear that. That's exactly what Ed was talking about. Now let's check in on Susanna Sullivan. She is our American women's lead runner. How's she looking to you, Carrie?
I think she looks good. She looks like she worked herself through that rough patch. But, you know, this woman has been on a tear, and she's actually had a really good summer coming in. But as I said, she had a really big injury last year. It was devastating to have an injury at that time to come into the Olympic trials. A lot of people were thinking she would be the one to actually make the team. She's on 2:21:44 pace. So she's past 40K, so she's getting closer to home. And definitely really exciting to know that she's under that world championship standard as well, which is 2:23:30.
All right, thanks so much on that, Larry. Let's get back to Alex, who has our world record holding champion, Ruth Chepngetich. Alex.
Characteristically fast here, Ruth Chepngetich ready for us. Ruth, a world record in Chicago. How does it feel to own the world record? Congratulations.
I feel so great. I'm much proud of myself, and I thank God for the victory and the world record. This is my dream that has come true. I fight a lot thinking about world record, and I have fulfilled it, and I'm much grateful. Yeah.
You had said that Kelvin means a lot to you. You were dedicating today to Kelvin. Were you thinking about him? What were you thinking and feeling during the race?
This world record I'm dedicating to Kelvin Kiptum because maybe he could have defended his title again, maybe world record, and this is the world record. He has come back to Kenya. I'm so happy, even I don't know how to explain.
Last year you were second. You ran a wonderful race last year. What was different this year? What allowed you to push through and set this world record?
This year, the weather was perfect. And I can say I was much prepared. I prepared well. Since London is like 4 months or 3 months, yeah, and I was much prepared. I was my world record was in my mind, and I have fulfilled it. I thank God.
When you think about Chicago having both world records, you've now won Chicago 3 times. What is this place? How is it special for you? What do you think about when you run in the street?
Chicago, as I said in the press, is like home because this is a fourth year coming to Chicago. So I'm proud of Chicago. Fans, they are much motivating, shouting. That makes me push so hard. Yeah.
Well, we are so happy for you. Congratulations on this unbelievable accomplishment. And thank you again for this wonderful performance today.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Ruth.
Thank you.
Ruth Chepngetich, our world record holder in the women's marathon.
Thank you, Alex. I absolutely love her attitude and that she's dedicated this world record to Kelvin Kiptum, the world record holder who passed away in February, her countryman. Now we're going to check in on our leading U.S. woman. She is about to turn the corner onto Columbus Drive. She's at the peak of Mount Roosevelt. Carrie, she's moving along there. She's making her way in.
She looks great. She is in 7th overall right now. She's making that final left-hand turn. First American is always one of those great stats that you can have being here in Chicago, and she's going to hopefully get under that 222 mark. But what a day. Her PR coming in 224.
Wow.
So she has got to be super excited about this and inching her way closer and closer to that 220 mark.
Absolutely. Proud to see her. And because she's a full-time 6th grade teacher, folks.
She is.
She's supposed to be one of those everyday people out running. No, she is killing it.
And I just love that because she works and she trains and she makes a difference in these younger kids' lives. And look at her come here.
Is she going to do that?
She's going to get on 222. Yay! Get there, get there.
Ah, she did it.
Yes.
With 4 seconds to spare, I think. Way to go.
Look at that smile.
She's got to be excited.
Been through a lot.
All right, we're going to send it back down to Alex Maragos with the top men's U.S. finisher. Alex?
CJ Albertson with us. CJ, a wonderful race today. How did it feel to be out on the course?
It felt great. I mean, we went out at a really good pace for me. And then it got hard after 15 miles, and so I was just trying to get to 20 miles and then get to 24 miles, and I got some help from a runner to kind of pull me along, and then I saw Zach up the road a little bit, and so just started chasing him, and yeah, it was hard, but the last mile felt all right. So.
Well, you know the finish is getting close. First time in Chicago. What'd you think?
It was great. I mean, the crowds were the whole first 15 miles. I was like, when are the crowds going to die down? Because it just feels like there's so much adrenaline the whole time, and I kind of just wanted to relax. But it's like, I mean, it's great, everyone's out here, but it was just like a lot, which was awesome. I mean, like, when the crowds are like so much that you kind of wish they were less, it's like that's when you know like the city's out bringing the energy. So yeah, it was just a great run, perfect weather, awesome event, and you know it's always fun to run fast too.
I was going to say a fast race on both the men's and women's side. 2:02, I think 38 was the winning time, and then of course Ruth setting a world record on the women's side. How does it make you feel as an elite runner to know you can come out here and make history?
I mean, it makes me personally feel a little slow, but I mean, it was.
You're not slow.
It was, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, yeah, Ruth was like literally right behind me for a lot of the race, and I'm like, I think I'm running pretty fast. So this is, she's doing something amazing. But yeah, I mean, obviously with the world record last year and now really fast times this year, obviously it's a course to run fast, and so yeah, it's just a great time.
Well, CJ, we hope to see you back again here next year.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, CJ. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex. Wow, what an amazing 4 finishes we have seen. And as we take a look at our beautiful city of Chicago, the Chicago River, the Chicago River Walk, and the racers out there on Wacker Drive, we thank Abbott for this beautiful drone footage. It lives life to the fullest. We'll be right back with more of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
My name is Maria Luevano, and I am running the Chicago Marathon because running has taught me that I'm resilient, it's brought me healing, and it showed me that I can do anything that I set my mind to do. The Chicago Marathon helps me celebrate that I am a mom of 4, I am a Latina, first-generation college student, I am an immigrant, so it's a moment for me to celebrate that I am all those things. So I started running at the age of 35. I was the mom of 2, and it was my first year teaching. A lot of my colleagues were runners, and they invited me to a few of their neighborhood runs. Go Daniel! It's only a few weeks of my experience as an assistant coach, but I'm really enjoying the opportunity to hopefully inspire some of our young students to pursue running. Every single finish line has a different story. None of them are similar, and the feeling's never the same. For me, it was my first marathon. Then it was qualifying for the Boston Marathon. Then it was coming back after having a child. Then it was pursuing big goals like a sub 3. I hope that my children look back and think of their mom as someone that always strived to do hard things. But most importantly, that they find something they're passionate about and they pursue it the way that I've pursued my running career.
I never get tired of looking at our beautiful city. Thank you to Abbott for this drone footage, I should say, living life to the fullest. There's some of the runners. These are your everyday folks that are out there on Wacker Drive. What a great view they have, though. They get to see the Chicago River as they make their way by. So exciting to have the 50,000 runners on the course here for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. You guys, another world record. Back-to-back world records. This one of women's, last year of men's. I'm losing words here. I can't think of what else to say. The superlatives. It's such amazing athleticism to see. But you're right. It's like a man on the moon. This is miraculous stuff.
Yep. This time it's a woman. And 2:09:56 is what we're hearing is that time. She won by over 7 minutes.
Wow.
So Satume Kebede was second. Irene Cheptai was third, and they both ran 2:17. So 7 minute win today for Ruth Chepngetich in that world record sub 2:10.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And that margin of victory just does not happen at World Marathon Majors because of the quality of the competition that is invited in. So to blow this pack away by 7 minutes is a testament to how historic this race actually was.
And you can't say anything about the Olympic hiccup or what have you, the people that may not be here, because this is a world record.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter. She was competing, as you mentioned, with herself and with the clock.
Well, the world of running is changing so much, and there are so many more runners out there now, which is really exciting all over. It's not just here in America where we see a lot of new runners. All over the world, we're seeing new runners. So, yes, that's why we have so many at the Olympics, but also here at the majors.
It's so cool to see. And Amanda, great races by the two champions and even into the field. Although Catherine de Bruyne was by herself, I think the next racer in was 2 minutes behind?
About 2.5 minutes behind for second and third place, which was Manuela Schär and Tatiana McFadden. I just found out that Susanna Scaroni had a flat at mile 3. Oh. So she and Catherine de Bruyne had a plan that they were going to work together, try to break away early in the race, but Catherine de Bruyne didn't need any help.
No. But I'm sad about Susanna because she's been neck and neck with Catherine, as close as anybody else has been to competing with her.
If there was anyone that was going to give Catherine a serious run for her money in this race, it was going to be Susanna Scaroni. So that is a big disappointment. They'll have to wait until next year for a rematch.
All right. Let's check in again with Alex Maragos. He's with our top U.S. women's finisher, Susanna Sullivan. Hey there, Alex.
Hey, Marion, and a personal best for Susanna Sullivan, 2:21:56. Congratulations on a wonderful race. How did you feel out there?
It was just a dream day out there. I'm like kind of still in shock, so I felt great until my quads went with like maybe 4 miles to go. But I believed I could do it, and I was thinking a lot about my coach and my husband those last couple of miles, because a year ago this time I couldn't run a step. I had a fractured kneecap, and they believed in me when they didn't really have a lot of reason to. So I was doing it for them at the last 5K or so.
What did you think about the Chicago course here? I mean, obviously a world record on the marathon side, obviously a really fast. Oh yeah, world record. Yes. For Ruth Chepngetich today, beating it by almost 2 minutes. What did you think about just the course and the pace and everything today in Chicago?
Yeah, the energy out there was amazing. I mean, the crowds were just incredible. I teach 6th grade back in Virginia, and so some folks in the area know me as a teacher, so I was hearing a lot of like Go Miss Sullivan and go teachers and stuff, and so that was pretty special. So.
When you said you come back obviously from injury, and when you set yourself up with such a great time and a personal best today, what do you think is next for you here? What's your next goal?
I don't know. I mean, I felt great through halfway, and the pace was a little ambitious. So I really feel like, I feel like I'm still on the upswing. So I feel like there's faster times ahead, and I trust my coach can get me there. So.
Susanna Sullivan, our top American finisher, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stefan, over to you.
Alex Maragos, good to see you. We're back here at the finish line watching some of these racers come across the line. I'm always struck every single year watching the faces of these athletes as they cross the line. Some with pure joy, smiles, still have gas in the tank as they cross this line. Others, they have clearly given absolutely everything to get to this point here. The exhaustion, just the relief of being done with this race. Now they're coming across, finishing their race here and starting to cool down and try to ice down those muscles that they need to. The medical team is already on standby here at the finish line as well. One point I wanted to make: when Ruth Chepengedich came across the line, Carrie Pinkowski was standing here at the line, the race director, there to basically scoop her up in his arms, give her a big hug to celebrate. And then he turned over towards us here in the broadcast booth, and he flashed two fingers like this. Almost, I thought, the V for victory, very Winston Churchill-like. No, he was saying two. We have 2 world records right here in Chicago. So this has been a very exciting day for all of these athletes, and a very exciting day for all of us watching here in Chicago. Marion, back to you.
Yeah, you had the best seat in the house, my friend. You got to see a world record finish. I mean, I have to say I envy you. What was it like for you to see this?
You know, I couldn't believe it at first. I mean, we're watching the clock, we're watching her run, and trying to figure out, is this going to happen? And as you mentioned, it was about 2 minutes between the world record time and the time that Ruth Chepengedich came across the line. So I think we were all stunned, we were all surprised, and we were all elated to see her finally cross the line and win this race.
Great to see, especially after what we've heard about her training and how she's really taken charge of her own racing. It's such an inspiring story. Stefan Holt down there at the finish line. We'll get back to you shortly. Thanks so much. And gosh, I have to say thanks to everybody for putting on a fantastic race. And we appreciate the Abbott drone footage. It is absolutely stunning to see the racers on Wacker Drive. This is one of the prettiest parts of our city, and this is a very pretty city. Go live life to the fullest like Abbott. We'll be back with more of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
And a very good This is where it gets really crucial for runners. You can see behind me, people are rounding 18th Street. Some are starting to slow down. They're stopping for water. They need a little bit of food. But others, you can see they're fist pumping. They are hyped, and they are getting a lot of that energy from this crowd. People have been out here since dark, lining this street and making sure they are showing up for the runners. One of those people is Danielle. She's a Chicagoan out here cheering on her friends. Danielle, describe Pilsen. Describe what it's like out here.
Pilsen is the best place to be. We're out here with Venados Running Club right on 18th Street. One of our friends just said she's only 6 years old, and she's like, it sounds like Mexico here. It's literally the best place to be, the best day of the year. Check out Venados Running Club. We're out here cheering on our friends, our community members, our neighbors, everybody out here just hitting the pavement, doing their best. It's the best day.
Thank you, Danielle. You can see the energy is high. We've got pom-poms, we've got blowhorns, and fans are consistently cheering as they round this bend, mile 20. It's looking good out here. We'll send it back to you now.
Thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful shot of Wacker Drive, the runners making their way through the loop in this 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. These stunning drone images courtesy of Abbott, life to the fullest. We are back here at the finish line of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, watching a lot of these runners cross the line, finishing that journey of 26.2 miles through 29 neighborhoods, being cheered along the way by millions of spectators. I want to tell you more about some people running for charity this year. Of course, some people running for their first time just to finish a marathon, others trying to get that personal best. some even getting world records here today, but a lot of people are running for a good cause. There are 205 charity teams this year with about 16,000 runners competing here. In total, they've raised $30.4 million for charity this year in 2023. And since the charity program began in 2002, they've raised a total of $322 million. All sorts of different organizations supporting groups around the world and right here in Chicago. Many people running for a good cause. Marion, we'll send it back to you.
That is so true. That's one of the things I love about this marathon. I mean, raising more than $30 million is no easy feat in a single year, Stefan. Thank you. What do you guys think about the charity component?
It's awesome because so much of running is sometimes hedonistic. You know, you're focused on your own training and whatever, and having this charity portion allows you to kind of give and raise money for these amazing, worthy causes out there as well. So a really nice aspect to add in.
What do you think, Amanda?
I think it's such a good example of all of the different reasons why people run and why people are out there. It's not always about getting a new personal best, setting a world record, breaking the course record, but sometimes it's about raising money and supporting a cause that you really care for and being a part of something that is bigger than yourself.
Yeah, Carrie?
Like being on a team, you know, so much of this is just get out the door and you got to lace it up and you got to go do it. But when you know you're running with a team and for something, it really is special, and it definitely keeps you going through those hard miles and those hard training days.
Oh, we also want to update where the other American women, how they did in the race.
So Susanna Sullivan, we heard from her, but Lindsay Flanagan was second American, and she ran a new PB at 2:23:31, just missing that world championship standard. And then Emma Bates, who's been second here before, she finished third. So she's, you know, has quite the record here as well. She ran 2:24 flat.
All right.
And then our top American men, we know that C.J. Alberson got a new personal best, 2:08:17. He was followed by Zach Panning, 2:09:16, which was also a personal best for him. And then Reed Fisher came through in 2:10:14, PBs for all three.
Sounds great. Yep. Once again, Chicago lives up to being a fast course. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about Kelvin Kiptum and what he's meant to racing and a little bit more about his legacy. We want to hear from all three of our analysts when we come back.
Good morning from Chinatown. We are just past mile marker 21. We have the Lion Dancers here, and of course that iconic Chicago Town gate here at the corner of Wentworth and Cermak. We've also got the DePaul cheer squad here getting the runners and competitors excited. Also, Alderwoman Nicole Lee, good morning. Talk to me about the significance of showing off Chinatown.
Hi, Kate. Thank you so much for being here. It's an incredible opportunity for us to show off our community. We love that the Chicago Marathon comes through Chinatown every single year.
Tell us what makes this neighborhood so special.
Look around you. We've got cheerleaders. It's one of the best cheer spots in the city. And people get to enjoy all of the great food that's here in Chinatown while they're supporting their runners.
What's your favorite part about Marathon Day, and particularly being here at mile marker 21?
Literally every time a runner raises their arms, they command the crowd to cheer for them, and it's awesome. We all have to get into it.
It's amazing. Alderwoman, thank you so much. Chinatown, I'm here every year as well. One of my favorite places to watch the marathon because of all of these amazing people. Take a look at all of the runners going through right now and their amazing friends and family lining the route. Hope you're enjoying the marathon. This is live from mile marker 21 in Chinatown.
Kelvin Kiptum, we're going to get ourselves a new world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
It was just over a year ago when Kelvin Kiptum shattered the world record for the fastest marathon, 2 hours and 35 seconds, officially ratified on February 6th. 5 days later, Kelvin, along with his coach, Gervais Hakizimana, died in a car crash in Kenya. Kelvin was just 24 years old. He left us with an amazing legacy. Ruth Chepngetich, who also got a world record today, says she dedicates her world record to him. And as we mentioned in that video, this year, I think a lot of people really did run for Kelvin.
Yeah, he certainly was a bright light taken too soon. He had a decade of amazing running ahead of him. I still maintain that he would have been the first man to break 2 hours, and he agreed with that, and he was very humble in that, and an amazing race that he did last year, and certainly inspired us all.
Yeah.
You know, he was so close to going under 2 hours, and then for us to see a woman today go under 2:10, you know that he had a big impact on Ruth, and for her to be able to bring this world record back to Kenya, and now they have the 2 Kenyan world record holders, one up in heaven and one here on earth, and you know she's running extra hard for him.
Absolutely.
24 years is such a short time, but he is already inspiring incredible performances, and that's just going to keep going. He was only here for a short period of time, but made an incredible difference, and we saw that today.
Yeah, we did. What an impact he had in that short time. He certainly will be missed. And we thank you all for sharing your thoughts and on Kelvin, and just thank you for always being here with us. I mean, this is an amazing sport to witness. It, to me, is always seeing these remarkable feats of athleticism, and we saw an amazing one again today, and I'm so grateful to have your expertise, all of you. You really fill in all the blanks for the average person like me who is just sitting here going, how are they doing that? It's pretty remarkable. Thank you for being here. Any final thoughts on today's race?
Well, just on the men's side, John Career, what he did over the last half, running the second fastest time here at Chicago behind Kelvin Kiptum, I think that was a great way to honor his memory as well, and for him to negative split going through 62.20 and then 60.23, 2 minutes faster on his return half. Just amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, I love that Ruth Chepngetich has set her 7th world record, whether it's a half marathon or the marathon, whatever. This is her 7th one. She just likes to do things that no one else does. So it's been pretty cool for us to witness it.
It has been. And Amanda, great race, a great wheelchair race as well.
For the men's and women's pro wheelchairs, both amazing races. Marcel Hug once again proving why he is the best. Pack of 3 all the way to the finish, and then that final sprint, he said, see you later. And then on the women's side, Catherine de Bruyne doing what she has been doing for the past year and a half, taking off hard, holding that lead, and just going solo, shattering the course record she set last year. Her own course record by 2.5 minutes, unofficially at 1:36.12. All alone.
Wow. Such an amazing morning. Thank you guys for being here. Go ahead and punch your clock for next year this time, because you're going to have to come back and do it all again with us. We really appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
Always love working with you guys. Make me feel so much smarter by the end of the day. Thank you. We'll be right back. Thanking our analysts for joining us. We'll be back with more of the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Don't go anywhere.
My name is Regina Gloria, and I'm running the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon as a mentor with Students Run Chicago. I've run 62 marathons total, 23 of them being Chicago Marathon. Students Run Chicago is a nonprofit organization that trains high school students to accomplish the marathon. You have adult mentors working with them as pace group leaders to work with them throughout the training season to accomplish every distance from a 5K to a 10K to a half marathon, leading all the way up to the full marathon in October. For an adult working with youth, I've always felt like we have a mission to work with the younger generations to lead them in the right path. Sort of the perfect age to take on something as challenging as a marathon, because there's so many parallels to every goal and ambition that you might have. I think our goal has always been about creating a sense of community We talk a lot about being a family, and in the simplest terms, I think that is really what the marathon is about. People coming together at the same time on a Sunday morning, and lo and behold, there's 50,000 of you at the start, and then there's a million other people lining the streets. There's nothing else in the world that I know of where everybody forgets about all the strife and the pains and the conflicts. They just support absolute strangers. I don't think that happens often enough.
Welcome back to the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. There's the view looking up Columbus Drive. So close, those runners just about to cross the finish line and reach their goal here in Chicago. I'm joined by Chris Miller of Abbott Laboratories, a local company. You guys are up in Lake County. Of course, you're also the sponsor of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon and the Abbott Marathon World Majors. Tell us about that partnership and that sponsorship.
It's great. You know what? The Abbott World Marathon Majors is 6 iconic races, but of the 6, the best one in October is Chicago. This
little
spring,
hometown
yeah,
bias.
a little bit, maybe. But this spring we had Tokyo, Boston, and London. The fall started with Berlin a few weeks ago, and then we have New York coming up in a couple of weeks. So as a global health technology company, it's a great way for us to celebrate health and what health allows you to achieve. And certainly on the streets of Chicago, it's a great way to show that today.
I know this is a hometown race for you guys. You have a lot of employees that are running out here today, but an important person you're cheering on is your wife, Patricia, who battled breast cancer, and she's running for a cancer charity as well. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that journey for her.
Yeah, so she had breast cancer in 2021, recovered from that, and in 23 decided to run London to raise charity. Money for Licorice Project, which is a charity here in Chicago. So she ran London, and then that night said, what about Berlin? And I said, next year? And she said, no, in the fall. So she ran Berlin that fall, and then went on to run Tokyo last spring. She's been on this journey with her brother, who lives in Australia. And so today, both of them are running the Bank of America Chicago Marathon together.
How inspiring, and how's she doing? Have you checked in with her?
She's great. I think she just passed the halfway point.
Wow.
She's nursing a bit of an injury. She trains with Jenny Sprangler up in Lake Forest, but she decided she was going to toe the line, and if anything happened, it's her city she could pull off. But I think she's feeling pretty good.
There we go.
Yeah.
I know Abbott is where you have something you brought here called Lingo, which is something to help measure blood glucose levels.
Yeah, so she's actually wearing this as well, and a number of other runners. This is a Lingo, which sits on the back of their arm. We showed that at the expo the last couple of days at the Abbott Health and Fitness Expo. This ties to your iPhone, which gives you all your information. Your viewers can go on to hellolingo.com to buy it or to get more information. But for runners, it's great because it'll give them all that insight of what's happening inside on their phone. So they can find out what's happening with their glucose and energy, which running a marathon is also a bit of like an eating and drinking tour because you've got to make sure you're hydrated, you've got your energy coming in, and not just race day, but prep and then recovery as well.
Absolutely. Chris, we're going to let you cheer on your wife, Patricia. Hopefully she'll be here soon.
Great. Thank you.
Good to see you.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thanks,
much.
Stefan. Good to see you.
Actually, you said she's by the halfway mark. Let's check in with Matt and Courtney at mile 13, the halfway point. How's it going over there, guys?
Hello! Hey, Stefan! It's great to be out here. We're loving the energy.
It's always a party at the halfway point. Always.
And we are here with Tara and Jill from Camp One Step. You guys having a good time?
Yes, we're having a great time.
Yeah.
First of all, tell us, what is Camp One Step?
Camp One Step is a nonprofit, and we provide free programs, primarily camps, throughout the year for kids with cancer and their families.
Nice.
Wonderful. And you both have a very personal connection to this organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. My daughter, Ramona, is a camper. She was diagnosed with leukemia at 2.5 and started going to camp at 7. So that's how we got involved with camp. And my other daughter, who's 10, goes to sibling camp. And it's a magical place.
And we should say Ramona's 13 years old now, doing well.
Yeah, she's 13 and doing amazing.
That's awesome. And what about you, Jill?
I'm a cancer survivor. As a young adult, I had cancer and survived. I'm healthy now. And once I went to camp and saw the magic of camp, I will stay here forever. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
That's amazing.
It's really such a vulnerable time for people, right? So this is where people can lean on you to get that extra love and support.
Yes, absolutely. And kids can get their childhood back. They can go somewhere where they're surrounded with people that understand what they've been through and what they might still be going through, and just be a kid again. It takes the pressures of pediatric cancer away from the family.
I see you guys looking. How many runners you have out here?
We have 130.
Whoa!
Nice.
We've seen some. We've been cheering them on.
We're going to let you get back to cheering them on. We're going to cheer right there with you.
Yes.
And
now we're gonna send things over to Lexi Suter in Pilsen.
Lexi, get us some food. We want a snack.
It's so good. It's so much fun out here. Thank you, Matt and Courtney. We're just a little bit down the road at mile 20, and this is where runners are really counting on the support of the community as they're starting to slow down a little bit. One of those people is Lucy Negretti. She is here. She's the head of the Venados Run Club. Lucy, thanks for taking a few minutes. Your run club is so important. It is all about community. Tell me about it.
We're here for the runners. We're here for the community. We're here for family. We're here for each other. It's a beautiful place to be.
And part of your community is your daughter Ruby, who is on the course as we speak. I see you checking your phone and her location. How's she doing, and why is this marathon so important?
She's about halfway done. I'm a Chicago native, born and raised in Chicago, and so it's important to me because this is home.
And the Pilsen community, wow, it doesn't get any better than this. It's special.
And this is family. This is what it means to be family. The way you see it here, this is our everyday.
I know a big population of runners come from Mexico every year. Not only Americans, but people come from Mexico. They want to be a part of this race. It's so well known. How is Pilsen supporting those international runners?
The original founders of Venados are native to Mexico, and so keeping that alive, keeping the whole energy to what they created true to that statement is what we're here to try to do.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Best of luck to Ruby. We appreciate all you do. Let's head back to you guys. That's all from Pilsen right now.
Number 21. And I want to introduce you to someone right now. John Russos with the Run Too Hard Club. Good morning to you. Tell me first and foremost what the Run Too Hard Club is.
Run Too Hard. So we're a running club out of Humboldt Park, Chicago West Town. We meet at Frera coffee shop every Tuesday morning around 6:30. Great community, all paces, all faces. Really inclusive, wonderful community.
How many runners do you have in the marathon today?
I heard 50 plus. Wow, it was 6 2 years ago, 30-ish last year, 50 this year.
That's incredible. You ran the marathon last year. You just moved to Chicago. Talk to me about your experience running this race, and then particularly what it was like coming through Chinatown.
Oh my God, well, is there a better introduction to the city, right? Running through all the neighborhoods, seeing the city come out for you, which I think it really speaks to the type of people that live here. There's a community spirit, you strive together. It's brutal, but it's fun. But I was like cramping up about a year ago very badly. But then Chinatown lifts you up and kind of pushes you into those last 5 miles. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you see these cheerleaders, you see the lion dancers, you see all these smiling faces and the incredible signs, which is so cool. John, you were from Portland, and you talked about coming back to Chicago and meeting just an incredible community through running. How did that help you adjust to living in a new city?
Well, I mean, as we were speaking about, it's like, as an adult, to make new friends, it's a bit strange, and I didn't really know anyone here. And running seemed like a great way to be around people that I might not hang out with if we weren't running together. But it's a healthy exercise, and also I've just been blown away by the warmth and acceptance. Breck and Raymond, who run the club, have been so kind and inclusive, and I have friends, I have group chats now. Like, we don't just run, we get coffee, it's amazing.
A whole new community, and last, we have to let you go here, but what was it like finishing the run? You said you had an experience you weren't expecting when you crossed that finish line.
I was crying. I couldn't help but get so emotional. I did not expect it. But doing that meet and not seeing all these people that are going to do it, it's amazing.
That's amazing. John Russos with the Run Too Hard Club. Thank you. That's it from Chinatown, mile marker 21. It's incredible. I mean, you feel the energy as soon as you get here. It's awesome. Stefan, we'll send it back to you.
The energy, the excitement. Kate Chappell, thank you very much. We have much more excitement still to come. You're watching the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon right here on NBC5 Chicago.
Running a marathon is the most difficult thing I've ever done. My name is Sophia Pars. I am a charity manager for the Lurie Children's Marathon team. I am also running the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I'm running alongside nearly 400 Lurie Children's runners, and I can't wait to cross the finish line. I support them with training, fundraising, I provide them resources and help them navigate this whole program. I'm here to help them every step of the way. especially being a runner this year. I'm putting a few things into practice myself. I know what to expect as the highs and the lows, and I know what obstacles are in my way. I wanted to be on the ground with them. I wanted to run a mile in their shoes. Working with a hospital, working with a charity team, I've seen firsthand how the marathon fundraising goes to the hospital and to the programs. Some programs might not exist if they didn't have this fundraising. They might not be as robust as they are today. It's absolutely incredible that children are able to receive the care that they do at Lurie Children's. Something that kind of surprised me when I first started running is how much of a challenge it is, and I feel like it's always going to be. The second I get a hang of something, a certain distance, a pace, there's another obstacle that's thrown in my way. There's always a challenge with running, and I love to complete a good challenge.
Most of the professional athletes have wrapped up their race, but there are plenty of other runners out there tackling this 26.2-mile course in the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Let's head back out to Grant Park, where Stefan Holt is joined by our on-course reporters, Dina Castor and Galen Rupp.
Off the motorcycles here in the studio with us, Dina Castor, Galen Rupp. Welcome back, guys. How was the ride out there?
I mean, it was epic. Yeah, we just saw the 7th world record that the Chicago Marathon has seen. So it was just an awesome day out there. Fast running all around, both for the men and women.
Running, the men especially. It was a little breezy out there too, right?
Little breezy, but wow. I mean, how impressive was John Career? Running a 4:15 mile that late in the race, off the pace that they were running and then continuing to go, the field just did not have an answer for him.
There seemed to be a lot of confidence there as well, of course, with the pace runners trying to keep that pace all the way through. And it seemed fairly consistent the whole way.
They did a great job, and even before they dropped off, I could tell Career was looking good because he was joking around. He cracked a few jokes with the pacemakers right before they stepped off and was smiling, and after that, it was game on.
Dina, let me ask you, because we just saw a women's world record here in Chicago. I saw Carrie Pinkowski says, we've got 2 world records here in Chicago. What is it about this course? What is it about this city?
It is notoriously flat and fast, but we've seen Ruth Chepngetich in 2021, 2022. She goes out hard and she fades, but she never really falls apart. Today, she hung on and took 2 minutes off the world record. That is unfathomable when the world record gets chipped away at. It's like seconds at a time. So to just destroy it like that, joining the likes of other world record holders here on the streets of Chicago, like Paula Radcliffe, Catherine Deriba, Bridget Kosgei, and now Ruth Chepngetich has just solidified her name in history in this distance.
So many of the shots, it looked like she was all alone out there. From your perspective, I mean, there was already a large gap, we knew that, but what did it look like from your view?
Yeah, I mean, she was out alone with her pacemakers, but you did see Sudame Kebede of Ethiopia pull up on her, and I think it made her uncomfortable. She wanted to run alone, so she pulled away again. It was just impressive racing all around, and you just couldn't believe that kilometer after kilometer she was hanging on to that strong pace.
Let me ask you, Galen, because I know this is a race you're familiar with. You've won this before as an American. Is there a part of you that was wishing you could be out there today?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it was definitely, I was jealous seeing everybody compete out there. It was almost a perfect day weather-wise, and I think that's why you saw so many fast races. But Chicago is always just a tremendous atmosphere. The crowds are amazing. The people are incredible. And yeah, I really wish I was out there. Hopefully I'll be here next year.
Is there a way to top this? I mean, I feel like every year we're seeing world records broken, we're seeing course records broken. How does Carrie top this next year?
Let's just keep the momentum going. Let's get another world record or 2 to next year in the same race. That's how you top it, right?
Yep.
The men and women both breaking the world record in the same race. But there's still a lot of records being broken behind us. There are personal bests on the line today. People come here to run that. So super exciting for the thousands of people still on the streets making their way to the finish line.
Quite the finish. Dina Castor, thank you so much. Galen Rupp, good to see you guys. Welcome back. We'll send it back to you, Mary, in the studio.
We're back here in Pilsen, and I want to introduce you to someone very important. Some may say he's the MVP. Carlos, you are the captain of Mile 20, making sure runners have what they need. How's it going? How's your team doing? How are the runners doing?
Everything's going well. As you can see, we're at the best aid station. We're in the best neighborhood along the course. And we take a lot of pride in what we do. The morning's going great. I wish there was a little bit more sun, but we couldn't ask for a better crowd. And no, things are going awesome.
You have a very important role. You've got a medical tent here, several doctors, food, water. Mile 20, runners start to slow down. How do you make sure they have what they need to complete this safely?
It's a complete team effort. In the morning, we did our safety talk with our volunteers. We have over 185. And we told them we're playing such a crucial role this morning that we know very well that this is when you hear the stories of people hitting the wall. So it's super crucial that we keep the runners going. We give them that energy. We cheer them on. We provide Gatorade, we provide water, we provide bananas, and we provide the ambience that we feel it's enough fuel to get them through the finish line.
You've been doing this for over a decade. What drives you to continue to be out here to push for your community?
That's a great question. I feel like leading up to it, it's very tiring. It's a lot of work. But, as soon as race morning hits, you get this fuel that you say to yourself, now I know why I keep doing it year in and year out. And so, no, it provides the energy to keep doing it year in and year out.
And just like for the runners, this crowd in Pilsen is just remarkable. Do they really motivate you and your team?
Absolutely. We take a lot of pride in giving folks a really, really unique vibe, a really cultural experience here in Pilsen. It's one of the coolest, it's by far the coolest neighborhood in Chicago. And we want to make sure, we know very well that many of them will never visit Chicago. So we want to make sure that it's a very lasting, positive experience, before they leave the city.
All right. Carlos, thank you so much for your work and being out here today. You can see it takes a lot here at Mile 20 to make it a successful event, and it has been incredibly successful thus far. For now, back to you.
Lexi Suter, thank you very much. Joined by Carrie Pinkowski, Executive Director, Race Director of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. You did it again. How do you keep doing it?
Well, Ruth has been very familiar with Chicago. She's flirted with the world record a few times. She knew what she needed to do. She knew what it felt like, and she got some excellent preparation. And she put herself in the position to do it. I couldn't be happier. She's a marvelous young lady.
When you're watching the clock and you're watching, okay, she's coming up to this mile, she's on this pace. What's going through your mind as you're doing the calculations and figuring it out?
I pay a little bit of attention, but you just kind of let it happen. And I get an update maybe with a mile to go, and our friends from Nike said she's going to do it. She's going to smash the record. So, it's wonderful. I can't say that Kelvin Kiptum's spirit and his presence is with us. I mean, it's been felt by everyone. What he did last year, I think, motivated a lot of athletes. I think it moved Ruth to what she did in preparing. So. We have 2 world records now in Chicago, and I couldn't be happier. This is such a great event city. It's such a great opportunity for people to discover the city and work with so many wonderful people. And it's a crowning moment.
It's a great moment. I think all of Chicago comes out and enjoys this, but it's awesome to see these elite professional athletes that come here, especially in an Olympic year. What was that like trying to get these athletes here to Chicago to race today?
Well, Ruth was left off the Kenyan Olympic team, so I think that might have been a little bit of motivation also. Safan Hassan obviously won here last year, went on to win the Olympic gold medal. She was needed to recover, so we had some new faces here. They certainly performed magnificently. So we've got a new champion on the men's side, John Career, who has a legacy here and has competed here. So we'll go with the team we had. They perform well. Obviously, the Olympics helped elevate the sport and a lot of our Americans obviously competed there, but we were in good shape.
I've got to ask, you mentioned recovery. Do you get a break after this? Do you get a time to just kind of reflect, or is it right back to work hitting the pavement planning for next year?
All this beautiful venue that we see here, we have to all be taken down. So there's a few days of work ahead, but we'll celebrate a little bit this afternoon and obviously spend some time with some of our athletes. But it was a great, rewarding day. We have over 50,000 participants that started. Our charity program's doing some great work. I mean, obviously we had Keith Cockrell and Rita Cook here from Bank of America, who have been amazing in the support that we get for this event. obviously you guys putting us on TV and telling the stories of all of our participants. So it's about partnerships, and this is when the city comes together.
I will end with some high praise from Joan Benoit Samuelson, because I asked her, what is it about Chicago? We know it's flat, we know it's fast, we know we've had great weather, but she said it's the carry factor, that you are a big part of the success here at this marathon.
Well, I think we build everything from the deck up, and we don't lose sight of the fact that all of these people are running a marathon, all right? So we take that and we recognize the athlete in everyone and give them their space and let them process everything and celebrate this, these individuals, all shapes and sizes from all around the world.
It's incredible. Kerry Pinkowski, it's great to see you.
Thank you,
Congratulations on another great year. Appreciate it. We're going to send things to a break. You're watching the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon right here on NBC5 Chicago.
Another shot of our beautiful city from our drone, brought to you by Abbott. And look at that gorgeous Riverwalk and the runners along Wacker Drive. This is such an amazing race. You get to go through 29 neighborhoods, and one of the best stops a lot of people always talk about is in Chinatown, and that's where our Kate Chappell is standing by live with the feel of the flow of the runners as they make their way to mile 21.5 in Chinatown. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Marion. You are right. The energy is just incredible here in Chinatown. Everyone's so happy as they're coming through, and the energy lifting them back up at this very difficult point in the run right past mile 21. But one of the best parts, you know this about the marathon, are the stories behind it. This week, I told you about a man who needed a liver transplant bought by our Sarah Dorj. He turned down that liver transplant to run the marathon instead because he wasn't sure he'd ever get the chance to again. And right now, we want to introduce you to his son, Anthony, who is standing by. Anthony, when you found out last year that your dad was passing up a new liver to run the marathon, what was your reaction? What did you say to him?
It was very much my dad to do that. When I heard him picking up that phone call, I feel like I knew what he was going to say. And I was like, oh my God, all right, well, if he's going to do it, I mean, I'm not going to discourage him. I can't be that voice in his head. I gotta just back him up. And then he did it, and it was crazy. And then he ended up getting it again 2 weeks later. It was a miracle. It was crazy. We thought like it would take forever, but
19 days later, he had a successful transplant, and now he's running the marathon again today. How does it feel to be here today, waiting for your mom and dad to run by, and how's he doing health-wise?
It is so surreal. It is crazy that I'm here right now. Running has been such a big part of their lives for a long time now, but I never thought that we would be getting anything like this, or that it would be what brought my dad kind of back to health. Like, it pushed him so hard to fight, I guess. His health is doing great now. I think this has given him something to chase, and that's so important when you're recovering, I guess. And it was awesome. It's surreal.
Well, I'm so happy that he's recovered and he's doing well with that successful transplant. Congratulations and enjoy. Go Bob Bayar and your mom. Thank you, Anthony. Again, these stories are just incredible. We love to share them with you. That story, if you want to watch it, is posted on our website, NBCChicago.com. For now, live in Chinatown, we'll send it to you, Matt and Courtney. So we are out here with Colleen Ganzier, who's supporting her husband Dan and her son Owen.
Yes.
Yay!
We got Dan and Owen right here. Owen just ran by.
He did.
How exciting is this for you to be out here to support them?
It's super exciting. It's super great to actually see them.
Yes.
You got 30,000 people running, and it's great to be able to pick them out of the crowd.
And Colleen, we should say YOLO because that's the name of your husband's running group. Tell us about that. What does it stand for?
YOLO is young and old. Well, actually, I'm not sure what the acronym is. But anyway, he wants to get all the young and old people in Lamont together to enjoy running. So they have people of all ages.
Young, old Lamonters outside.
Outdoors.
That's what it stands for.
We got it.
We got it. So what did you think when your husband said he wanted to start this running group and then do something like this with your son?
I thought it was great. All three of my kids were young, and he ran with them all the time, and he just wanted to be able to be with other people that would want to join him and have fun and stay active too.
That's awesome. And charity is such a huge component.
And Owen decided to raise funds for Lurie's, and he did it by being the Easter Bunny.
Wait, explain that.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So he put out on Facebook for Easter visits, and he showed up with all these homes that people said, yeah, that sounds great.
So
and the money went to Lurie's. That's a beautiful thing.
That's wonderful.
It did.
Awesome. So
This is special.
Dan should be running by.
Yes.
Shortly. I don't want to miss
That's
him.
it. We're going to be looking for Dan. In the meantime, you guys keep having fun.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much. Congrats to the family.
Thank you.
YOLO!
YOLO! YOLO! YOLO! YOLO!
Matt and Courtney living their best lives out there at the halfway point. Thank you so much to them. Rita Sola-Cook with Bank of America joining us here at the finish line, watching the runners come across. What a day. What an exciting day today.
It has been amazing. Last year I was fortunate to hold the tape when Kelvin had crossed the finish line, bringing the men's world record to Chicago, and today to be standing there and watch Ruth. It's been an amazing day.
Absolutely, and we were just talking about the reaction, seeing them almost glide across the line effortlessly after running 26 miles in just incredible fashion, incredible speed. Remarkable to see that.
Absolutely. The smiles, the energy as they came across. They were gliding. They got their flag. They ran back. And the way the crowd reacted to them and celebrating them. It's a good Chicago welcome.
A good Chicago welcome. Of course, this is a huge event for the city of Chicago, huge economic impact, but also a huge impact for charities. Can you talk about the level of connection impact to charities here?
Absolutely. So if you're not out on the race course or here watching the race, I tell people that are sitting at home enjoying the race, you probably are excited about it because there's 16,000 of our runners that are running for a cause bigger than themselves. Last year, they hit a record charity level of $30.4 million for 200 different causes, and this year they're on pace to exceed that. So those charities impact Chicago, they're regional, they are global in nature, so there's something for everybody.
So it's fair to say that this event here touches the world, really.
This event touches the world. From the 140 countries people are coming in to visit our city, tourists, drive economic impact here in Chicago to a charity perspective. It hits on the economic, the social, and the philanthropic.
So this is our hometown race. You've got your husband out there running. How's he doing? What's the update?
He was about 60% of the way through before I came on, so he's on pace to finish.
Is he doing okay? He's feeling good?
He is. He actually runs our Bank of America Chicago Distance Series. It starts with the Bank of America Shamrock Shuffle in March, the 8K, moves over to the west side for the 13.1 in June, and it all culminates here with the 46th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
And what a great way to experience different parts of the city as well. I'm thinking for all the people who have traveled far and wide from around the world, they're here in Chicago getting to experience everything.
That's what I said this morning. I said it's nothing like welcoming 50,000 runners to do a 26.2 mile running tour of our city through 20 29 culturally diverse neighborhoods.
That's the way to do it. Rita, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Appreciate
Likewise,
it.
great to spend time with you.
Thank you. Marion, we'll send things back to you in the studio.
Hey, Stefan, I got to tell you, we want to recognize some of our co-workers, just like Rita's husband. Our co-workers here at NBC5 are out there on this 26.2-mile journey today as well. We have, I want to say their names because they're working hard.